Daniels 7 yards deep in his own end zone, and he's going to be sacked, and that'll be 2 points for the Bears. Terrell Bernard.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
That was picked off, and it's a pick six by Jalen Petrie.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Purdy over the middle, and intercepted. Tejada down the sideline. And pushed out of bounds.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
And Mayers for the win for Baylor from 30. Good hold, good snap. The kick is through. Baylor breaks its losing streak. And it's a yellow rush on the field, 32-31.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go on this Thursday afternoon. There's a couple of different questions. One that I posted in the SicEm365.com premium section, but also one that I posted very similar at the top of Twitter on my feed. And they're both the same, except the one on SicEm365.com is about Baylor athletics and sports, and the other one's about college football specifically. And getting different reaction from different fan bases is great. We'll get to some of your answers. Also, here's basically the question if you'd like to call in at 254-339-1122. We're about as wide open as we've ever been since the opening time we opened the show up on April the 6th of last year. Paul will have his top 5 at the end, Craig's 4:45 segment off the radar, and then also we're going to re-rack Mack Rhoades today at 4 o'clock on many things about NIL and Baylor athletics. Terrell Bernard and Connor Galvin will represent Baylor at the Big 12 Media Days on Thursday, along with head coach Dave Aranda.
Well, I was wondering if they were going to do the 4 representatives like they have been, but I figure with COVID that might change. And sure enough, yeah, everybody's only bringing 2. So that is definitely a change from years past. I'll be honest, those player sessions, I don't really think you need to have 4 guys there because, quite honestly, unless you play for like Texas or Oklahoma or you're just a really big star in your own right, like Brock Purdy would be there, a lot of those guys are just sitting there twiddling their thumbs for like an hour and a half. I mean, how many times do we look over after the first 20 minutes are over and like the remainder of the time you just see dudes on their phones with nobody to talk to? So I think just bringing 2 will definitely be better and makes a lot more sense. And those 2, Bernard, certainly, I get that. I thought Jalen Petrie would be a rep, given that he's a senior, but they go Connor Galvin to do offense and defense, so I understand that.
I think that I've always kind of thought 4 was overkill because if you go, all right, so if you're Oklahoma most years, you've got 4 people that people are probably going to want to talk to. If you are Kansas most years, you might have 1.
Maybe,
and so, and you might have 1. So it does get to be overkill. You can always have 2. I mean, there's always, again, offensive captain, defensive captain, something like that. I think it makes it easier on everybody. And I think Baylor, picked, I'm kind of surprised about Petrie, but they also ran him out a lot last year. So maybe give him a break, let somebody else do it.
Big 12 Media Days next Wednesday and Thursday in Arlington. We're going to have a meet and greet at Three Nations Brewery in Carrollton, off I-35 and Vandergrift in Carrollton at 7 o'clock Wednesday night after our show that we're off at AT&T Stadium. Also, we gave you some, information inside on the all Big 12 preseason team, the offensive, defensive players of the year, etc., special teams, all that, newcomer. Here is the media poll that was released today by the Big 12. And Oklahoma, with 35 of 39 first-place votes, overwhelmingly number 1. Number 2, Iowa State, overwhelmingly at number 2.
Yeah, and I saw one media guy who, say 4 jokers really voted for Iowa State. Tell me why they're not a good pick.
Well, did they beat Oklahoma once last year?
Pretty sure they did.
Yeah.
Pretty sure they beat Oklahoma in the one time they met last year. Pretty sure they're returning pretty much everybody as well. So shut your mouth. I'm one of those 4. I voted for Iowa State. I have no problem saying it, and it's a preseason poll for God's sake. So I don't think you can really go wrong with either team. It's not just default Oklahoma. A lot of things can happen. So yeah, I'm one of those 4 jokers. I'll say that.
All right. Now, this is not a surprise to me because of media, but 3, 4, and 5 could have gone in any different direction. But if you're going to have those 3, of course, it's like when people are filling this out. Well, Texas. And they keep disappointing for the most part. But go back and put it up again if you don't mind, Armstrong, because we're not done with it yet. At number 3, it's Texas ahead of Oklahoma State and TCU. West Virginia, K-State ahead of Baylor at 7 and 8, and then Texas Tech and Kansas.
So being one of 4 people that's a joker for voting for Iowa State, I wonder what term I could use for people who vote Texas high every single year, over and over and over again. I mean, to me, that's a joke. But, yeah, I think Baylor, I had them at 7, I think, in my poll. I figured 7, 8 was about where they were going to be, and the only question would be for the rest of the media if you think that they can be better than Kansas State, basically, and Texas Tech. And, then I think there is that separation with West Virginia and TCU where I didn't think people were going to expect Baylor to be better than either of those teams. I think the highest I could have possibly seen them would have been 6.
Yeah. You know how many votes Kansas has, right?
39.
How many first-place votes were there?
39.
So everybody, nobody had them any higher than 10. Nobody. So that's the top. I think I had Baylor. I believe I had them just in between West Virginia and Kansas State. So it's pretty close. But I had Texas, I think, at 5. But it's almost like they can't help. People can't help themselves.
And if you base it, any of it on last season and who they've got coming back, and all that, Baylor beat Kansas State, and they probably should have beaten West Virginia, but they didn't. So that's probably, and that's where you start to get split in hairs about all those games were really close. So that's why I think they fit right there. But Texas at 3, and I'm not trying to knock Steve Sarkisian. I know he's been in Alabama, and I know that once you're christened by Saban, people think you're going to do well. But how did that work out for Jeremy Pruitt? How'd that work out? How'd that work out for a couple people? How did it work out for Will Muschamp, also christened by Saban? So, again, it's not a guarantee. And Steve Sarkisian did okay at Washington. They were pretty good. But was he great?
No, again, it's the logo. It's no different than even in the top 25 this year, when the preseason top 25 comes out, they will be ranked somewhere between probably – sometimes they're ranked right at 25 when they're coming off a bad year and no one knows, but they'll be ranked somewhere between 10 and 15.
And in fact, Washington was better under Chris Peterson, and I think subsequently now under Jimmy Lake, than they ever would have been under Steve Sarkisian. They had a couple good seasons. USC opened up, and he swooped in and got that job because he was the offensive coordinator in 05. And 04 and all those teams. So
I'm willing to give Steve Sarkisian the benefit of the doubt as far as, people expect him to be a good head coach. But, it is, if he were coaching anywhere else, they would not be ranked number 3. If Tom Herman was back, they would not be ranked number 3.
You don't think so?
No, I don't. I think they'd be more, because I don't think there was a lot of confidence in him at the end. So I think some of that, it's Texas, would have dissipated somewhat because here's a guy who would have clearly been on the hot seat. And, I think that would have caused more of a 4 to 5, so barely a drop. But here's my thing on Texas, and I'm usually I set myself up to not be disappointed basically with Texas, and I know I do that. But they got a lot of great talent. That's fine. But Bill Connolly from ESPN put out a chart of all the Division I football teams and who has the most returning production in college football. Out of 127 schools, Texas is 118th in returning production. They have 59% of their roster returning that produced last year. So South Carolina, Duke, Florida, Stanford, Bama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Northwestern, BYU, those teams all lose many of them. Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State lose a lot of guys to the pros, and you just expect them to reload. But Texas ain't exactly in a reload spot right now. So they don't have a lot of production coming back. They're changing quarterbacks. I don't know outside of the coaching change and the third year in a row of going, well, this is going to be the year that Jordan Whittington finally, contributes. And I know there's all the hype over Bijan, but Yeah, there's a lot of questions there. I don't think that they're just a solid number 3 in my book, at least.
Yeah, so there's the top 10. Now, I want to go back up again one more time, Armstrong, the image of the top 10. We mentioned Kansas State's ahead of Baylor. Look at the gap. That's a large gap. That's 50-something votes, or 40 or 39 votes, the difference between 7 and 8. So there you go. We'll see what happens if that's true. And then, hey, listen, it's not like Baylor's done anything to, like, should they be 5 or 6 either. So it's they have to go out and prove themselves. Some of those teams at the bottom always have to prove themselves. But some, no matter what, no matter who's back, who's not, what they're coming off of, no matter who they lost, no matter the coaching changes are back, they're gonna be at the top 3 or 4.
They're the inverse. I mean, Texas gets the benefit of the doubt, and Baylor never will.
Exactly. Are you surprised? Are you surprised though that 35 of 39, that high of a number?
No.
Okay. I mean, I get what you're saying. You would think more people would have voted for Iowa State or had a belief in them, but I'm one of 4 other people, and that's fine. But yeah, I just think people now, they think Oklahoma's got this defense that's going to be just like it was last year, and they're expecting Spencer Rattler to be the Heisman front runner, and they're expecting lots of things. But those are expectations. So I'm expecting a lot of things out of Baylor, and if they they exceed those expectations, then they finish a lot higher than 8th. But I'm expecting them to be a lot better team. I'm not confident enough, having not really seen anything, to place them over a West Virginia just yet or a TCU just yet. But I'm not far off from doing that. I just need to see a little something early on, and I got a good feeling about this team.
All right, 254-339-1122. We also have the question I put up on Twitter. If you could have one playback in the history of your favorite college football team, what game, play, or moment, college football team, game, play, or moment, and why, even if obvious? 254-339-1122. I put that up on Twitter so we could bring in everybody from all sorts of different angles, teams, regions, college football. In Baylor sports history, no matter which sport, what is the play? And yes, there's going to be the block. It's still going to be up there. I would think that would dissolve a little bit because of what just happened 2 months ago, 3 months ago, when Baylor obliterated Gonzaga to win the championship, and kind of make that not quite as painful.
I can give you my one in Baylor and my personal one right away. And my personal one would be wide right 3, because I was there, and it would have been a lot better for me leaving that stupid Orange Bowl had that kick gone in. Number 2, the Baylor one would be the Dallas Baptist error that would have sent them.
Oh, yeah, the year that they had won a bunch in a row in the
Feed the Beaver year.
Yeah.
That error, I would love to have seen that one back, because that team was really, really good. And to end that way, was it Dallas Baptist or Rice? But in that series, that was the Feed the Beaver year, the error that they had kicked that one. I would have liked to see that one for that bunch of guys.
Here's from the 760. Cornell versus Princeton, 66-0, 2019. Would like to have that one.
Oh,
back.
I think you know who that is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know who that is.
That's our man, JD Piquel. I love the sense of humor. So jump on with us, either call or text, whatever. We'll read them or take your call. And we're going to kind of do that the entire first hour. Mack Rhoades replay from earlier this week. So much about NIL. And a lot of you have sent either direct messages or even text messages to me that you aren't real thrilled by the way that you feel like Mack Rhoades and his reaction to Miami is, well, we're going to do it differently. And you feel like you're going to be left behind, or that Baylor will be left behind. And when we get him on again, which will be one more time before he takes a little bit of a hiatus, I would think, for a couple of weeks at the end of July, we'll ask him that. We did kind of follow that up with a question, and we'll have that today at 4 o'clock.
I almost responded on the board, but it feels easier to probably just talk about it. But when I posted the Mack Rhoades recap earlier this week, there were a number of people who seemingly have concerns about, like you said, Baylor being left behind. And there's a lot of people who I saw say that Mack doesn't seem to grasp it. Like somehow he doesn't have his arms wrapped around it, or somehow Baylor's being hesitant, or somehow Baylor's not going all in. And I just think all of you are wrong. I think maybe you're reading too much into his comments. I don't think it's a matter of Baylor not being prepared at all. In fact, he adamantly dismissed that a couple of times during that interview. And, I don't think that they're just sitting on their hands either. I think they're just trying to figure this thing out and know maybe they're not as proactive as Miami with the top American MMA gym in the world and the owner of it, putting forth money. They don't have a guy like that. So, I just think that there are going to be the has and have-nots in this NIL thing, and Baylor's going to have to do a lot to muster, but I don't think by any means they're sitting on their hands and not trying to be involved or be on the cutting edge in any way. I just think, it's not as easy as it sounds, quite frankly.
Paul, was it Arkansas in a best
Arkansas,
of 3?
thank you. Yeah,
1-0 in the top of the 9th or 10th.
And that was a super regional. They'd have gone to the College World Series in the second time. It just, that game right there, that just the worst way. I mean, I cannot imagine a worse way to end a baseball game than an error, wild pitch, something like that. Like that one, look, you give up a home run, somebody gets a hit. Like that is, to me, I think an easier psychological mountain to climb. Like, look, I did my best.
Yeah.
They did their best, and that wasn't going to. But like an error is if I'd only done this.
It's like in golf if you were to miss a 3-foot putt to not win the tournament, or if a guy chips in. Or, rolls, does something spectacular. He won the tournament. Not so much that if you turn around and just cough up a 3-foot putt.
Like Chris DeMarco shouldn't feel that bad because of that. Tiger was making ridiculous putts that went all around the corner.
Yeah. Here's from Daniel, the blocked field goal. I got a lot of these, by the way, on the site and even some on Twitter. The blocked field goal against Michigan State in the Cotton Bowl. When they had that game, even with the Corey Coleman face mask, even with Andrew Billings blocking the back, all of whatever happened, the blocked field goal, when Callahan went to kick the field goal, it was blocked, and then he got destroyed on a blindside hit. Today would be a penalty. But that right there, you have a chance to put that game away, and you didn't get a chance to do it. A lot of people have brought up the Michigan State game in the Cotton Bowl. There's been some of the Seth Russell, not just tripping inside the 5, but also lowering his head against Iowa State in 2015 that led to the cracked whatever that was.
How about Bryce Petty in Stillwater tripping that early touchdown?
That's what I meant. Bryce Petty tripping up. That's right. Yeah,
in Stillwater, and that would have put them on the board, and then they couldn't score after that because he tripped on what would have been a clear touchdown.
Easy.
And then they got stuffed. They got stuffed play after play after play near the goal line, and then they couldn't score after that hardly. And then they just got their ass kicked. I mean, that was what that was. I don't know another way to say it. That night was a butt whooping. And I think that game would have turned out dramatically differently. Maybe not a Baylor win, but I think it might have. It certainly would have been a more competitive game if Bryce scores that early.
At the time?
Yeah,
they were. Yeah.
That was the big game in Stillwater, and they go up there and they just get their heads kicked in. But Bryce would have scored that early touchdown, and it all would have been different.
And they're one of those that when they do get off to the start and they were rolling right down the field, scored early. You never know because that's the kind of team with a little swagger. A lot of you have put this 2015 Seth Russell. Keeps, then lowers his head and broke his bone in his neck, whatever that was. Looks like they could have gone on to 3 consecutive Big 12 titles. We know that then Stidham came in, went to Oklahoma State, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. And he got hurt.
And he got hurt, but they won that game, and Chris Johnson came in and played well, and Katie Cannon had a huge game.
Yeah.
A lot of you have mentioned that moment as well.
I would have said Bryce Petty, but I didn't see it. I was on the side of the road.
Yeah, you were. Also, let's see here.
I was probably on my way back by then, but
let's see.
Yeah, that game, 49-17, they ended up winning that game, Oklahoma State.
I know, but that thing, that play kind of like it set the tone. And
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
It was like fire ants.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been, it was 14-3 at halftime.
Uh-huh.
And Oklahoma State had gone up 14-0, but it would have been at worst 14-7 at halftime, and that's a whole different ball game. But instead, it was 14-3. So no, it would have been 14-10 at the very worst.
And maybe they put it that gives them enough.
And they just got their heads kicked in.
But some of that. Sometimes you have those things that all of us. Once you wake up, one ghost.
Yeah,
like it's just always they're all coming out, and that game, he tripped on the on the turf, and every other ghost and bad thing just kind of came out.
Yeah, then they couldn't score, and then Oklahoma State went right. By the way, Chuck Kelly, voice of a lot of high school football and other things, he mentioned this. I remember this. Craig, you were 1?
Oh, yeah, I remember like it was yesterday.
Yeah. Keith Stanberry in the Oklahoma-Texas game inside the Cotton Bowl. Monsoon rain. Texas throws a ball in the end zone. Stanberry came down with it. He's from Mount Pleasant. I remember talking to him about this play. Intercepted the pass. They said it was incomplete. Texas kicked the field goal to tie the game at 15. That's from Chuck Kelly. A lot of other nice responses from you. A lot of them are Seth Russell against Iowa State in the neck. Bryce Petty in the trip against Oklahoma State, and some the Michigan State Cotton Bowl. And there was the Texas and Baylor game, the Duke Carlisle interception, and much, much more as well. 254-339-1122. Lines are open. In fact, if you want to give us a call.
Is this 6158 up on the screen?
It is.
Yeah, on what channel is that?
Looks like
it's ESPN Plus, right?
ESPN Plus. Don't lose us.
Oh, just on YouTube. No, just on YouTube.
Okay,
it's not on at all.
So, and again, I have the National College Football question on Twitter, and then it's the Baylor Athletics question that's on SicEm365 premium section, but also on our show at 254-339-1122. A couple other notes before we get to the phone calls, right?
Yep.
Paul, Craig, you remember Jordan Blake?
Yes.
His dad, John, passed away. Hell of a recruiter, right? Saw this note. Craig, is this one of yours? I got to make sure because I know this is one I didn't show you. Jordan Blake. Billy Embody covers SMU. One of the rising stars in recruiting is SMU's Jordan Blake, who played a key role in Chase Biddle's recruitment and other top recruits for the Mustangs. Former Baylor defensive back transferred, and then now he's in the coaching already.
Yeah.
Well, he learned how to recruit, I'm sure, some from his pops. And Jordan, as a Baylor player, not really much to say, quite frankly. He was, a guy who I remember there was a lot of excitement when he committed, and then he got to campus and didn't really do much. He got lost in the shuffle, quite frankly, and ended up transferring at the end. And good for him. There's a lot of guys who I'm sure will be coming off those former Baylor teams. We've already mentioned a bunch of them, like Taylor Young, and there's Mo Porter and Jordan Blake, and there's a ton of those guys. So that just keeps growing.
Yeah, John Blake is on a list of coaches, which is probably longer than most people realize, of guys who built national championship teams but didn't get to see them. John Blake built the 2000 Oklahoma national championship team because Bob Stoops was only in his second year when he was there. So the meat of that team was built by John Blake.
He's also on a list of coaches, and Kevin Steele would be on this list of guys who were tremendous recruiters or coordinators who just weren't very good head coaches.
And I'll tell you, who else is on that list is Ron Zook.
Yeah.
Ron Zook built Urban Meyer's first national championship team. Now, Urban Meyer peppered that in. The second one was all Urban, but the first one was built by Ron Zook. He was recruiting like crazy. He didn't know how to be a head coach.
Yeah, he did okay. He wasn't like a complete failure.
Yeah, but he just didn't know how to do it like he did everything else.
Also, this is from DFank_BU. If we could have just given Chris Platt an extra nitro boost on that long pass late in the Big 12 championship game. By the way, Johnny Juzang is back. UCLA has everyone from their roster back that made that Final Four run and almost knocked out Gonzaga in the semifinals.
And you wonder if them being in the Pac-12 and the way the Pac-12 kind of bumbled the start of their athletic season, if that team – they were what? They were like a 9 or an 11 seed or whatever they were. If they probably would have been higher had the season been relatively more normal for them.
Yeah, and potentially, just the other side of things is how much did just the weirdness kind of aid somebody to be able to hit the right stride and go on a run as well. So maybe they duplicate what they did this past year. But they certainly are going to be one of those teams along with Gonzaga and I think Baylor. I don't expect Baylor to be preseason number one. I expect that to probably be Gonzaga, but Kansas, there's going to be a lot. I know Texas fans are excited because of all these like 6 transfers that are coming in. So I think the Big 12 and just college basketball as a whole is going to be super competitive next year. Should be a lot of fun.
It'll be a lot of fun. 254-339-1122.
Matt in D.C., you're on SicEm365 Radio.
Guys, thanks for taking my call. How y'all doing?
Doing great, Matt. Thank you.
So to answer your question, the obvious one to me is always going to be the Seth Russell play where unfortunately he hurt his neck, and who knows what could have happened that year. But I have one different for y'all. For, as you said, the play for our most favorite team. I have a play for my most hated team, which is Texas, and it got me thinking, what happens if Colt McCoy stays in that 2009 national championship team? They somehow probably pull that win out. Is Mack Brown still coaching at Texas? Does the Big 12 break up as big as it does because now the conference is doing better with another national title? And how much longer does it take for Nick Saban to start his streak, which I think would have happened, but it would have been delayed by a year, and just the domino effect of Colt McCoy winning that game? What follows that in the next decade?
Yeah, that could. It's like a lot of things. Like the one play in my mind, and it may be similar to yours. Colt McCoy goes out. They're about to go up, couple of touchdowns. Was the tip 2-point conversion Nebraska-Miami in '83. If they actually win, that wins the game. And you wonder if that would have led to a surge of maybe 2 or 3 more, and they had to wait 15 years or so, or 10, 12 years. And that with Texas, and you do, yeah, because that gives Mack Brown tenure even at Texas.
Oh, yeah.
He'd
have more titles than Stoops.
Yeah, he's done with no matter what they may have lost their traction after that. And then you wonder about what momentum that would have given them with Garrett Gilbert. Well, a different situation.
That one moment in Texas football is the thread that came unraveled for everything. I mean, since that moment, it's been an absolute porta potty.
It's been a decade plus of just one team that was pretty good, and that was the team that won the Sugar Bowl. But even that team lost, I think, 4 games.
Well, I think that's good, Matt. That's a really good example. And yeah, certainly. I mean, as we were talking about here, and could probably go a whole hour on like what might have been different if Texas does end up winning that game. You know, I know Texas fans. I've seen it over the years. That's certainly a big hang up for them. That's one of those like that if this was a UT show, I'm sure would be like the overwhelming answer. I'm not convinced they win that game necessarily. It was early on in the game when that happened. I know Texas had a lot of momentum and whatnot, but we're still talking about Alabama. Like even if it was an early version, it was still Alabama. So yeah, Texas probably wins that game, but I don't think that's just an absolute guarantee. It wasn't like it was 28-0 when he exited the game. It was still relatively close and early, but yeah, that is a great one. That is one that certainly I know sticks in the craw of Texas fans in a major way.
37-21 the final, but a touchdown there, they go up 13-0. And then after that, they just had Alabama just smoked him in the second quarter.
What was the score when McCoy left?
I think that was I think it was they were about to score. It would have been 10-0 when he went out. I believe that's correct. And Texas fans, I know you'll correct me quickly.
Right. So I'm just saying it wasn't like it was 28-0 and that game was over. I mean, you're talking 10 points maybe. So, but I do think that very good odds that it turns out differently if Colt McCoy isn't injured in that game. Yeah, it was the very first drive of the game. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but I understand why you would feel that way.
Oh no, yeah.
But at the same time, there was a long way to go. Okay, we had to take a break.
We have one more call.
Okay.
All right. I want to say real quick though, that Garrett Gilbert recruitment and the way Texas went all in on him, that was their undoing. Was going all in on one guy, and so when he did not work out, then they were just screwed. That was Tyrone Swoops, and they had to go through so many guys to try to find another Colt.
Yeah.
But
Case McCoy,
yeah. Let's get his brother. That'll work the same.
Work.
The same. All right, T-Rex, you're on SicEm365 Radio. Thanks for your call.
Hey, appreciate y'all taking my call. Unlike my brother, I don't concern myself with the sheeps down in Austin, so I don't really care about their what-ifs. All they're good for is slapping it on the grill and turning it up a couple degrees and being a little tasty hamburger. Anyways, here's a what-if that I had some. I was going to say, what if somebody didn't eat a bat in China? Maybe we win the national title last year. Who knows? Our tennis team could have won it. All kinds of what ifs, right, about COVID year. But as I was waiting and listening to my stupid brother talk about UT and Colt McCoy and things that don't actually matter, I came up with one. What if RG3 takes advantage of his what would have been, I think, a 5th year, right, because he got that medical red shirt, and he doesn't leave in 2012, so Nick Lawrence is not the starter. What if RG3 stays one more year? Do you think we win our first Big 12 title in 2012 and don't wait until 2013?
Okay.
I mean, that's a big what if, but I don't think anybody's ever thought about that. And then who knows what happens to him, injury-wise in the NFL and the what ifs for him himself. But, he doesn't go to the Redskins, so maybe he's, he's a starting quarterback nowadays. But I'm just curious what, maybe 2012 is the start. The start of what was a period Baylor football.
That was still a team that had to get really good by the end of the year to get better defensively. That was still a team that was a work in progress, and what they did at the end of the year, they were really, really good.
I think even with RG3, they probably have a couple of those losses would have kept them out because early in the season that team was so bad on defense. RG3 or no RG3, it probably would have looked a lot like the year before where you lost a couple games to to some good teams in the conference just because you could not stop them.
You still might lose 70-63 to West Virginia.
Yeah, exactly.
And you still might lose 56-50. Maybe you do beat Texas in that game.
But at the end of it, I do think that
they lost 5 games that year.
Yeah, the end of 2012 was what spurred them on.
Wouldn't you love to see them at the end of 2012 against 11, 13, and 14 just to see if you could have like a four-team bracket playoff?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, only because of where they were at the end of the year. Even the
way they dismantled UCLA, which was a team that when you looked at that bowl game based on what both teams had done all year long, you thought that's going to be a pretty evenly matched game. You know, that UCLA should be able to give them a problem or two. No.
Yeah,
nope.
No, they didn't give them a
Beat
problem.
the hell out of them. Okay, go ahead.
What if the call on Quincy AC is different?
Yeah, no, that's definitely one.
How much different is Scott Drew's legacy and potentially the talk about him for a decade afterwards?
I'll tell you, had that happened, we would have never taken one single call that would have been like, well, he's done all he can.
Yeah, no. You wonder if you get one early and it'd make it more sweet that you didn't, although you'd love to have won that when they had that chance because Duke went on to win it in the champion. You still had to win 2 games after that. Right. That was to get you to the Final Four. But, yeah, you're right because that team was playing at great levels. 2-5-4, 3-3-9, 11-22.
Just getting to the Final Four would have been.
No, that's because that was the next level, and wondered if they ever would get there. More of your calls, comments, text, and opinions about what one play in Baylor athletics sports history you wish you could have back and why. Even if it's obvious, your thoughts on it. Also, college football fans, what one play in your favorite team, Baylor, whoever, favorite team in college football, one moment you wish you could have back. This is SicEm365 Radio. Marco's Pizza, saw a commercial the other day on television. They had this big, thick crust pizza. I'm a thin crust pizza guy. I like the all-meat pizza, but it was good. And Marco's Pizzas, when we do get pizza, we deliver them. They have them delivered here to our studios at 101 Elm, just off MLK. China Spring, Bell Mead, and Woodway. Bob Mack is the owner of the Marco's Pizza locations here in the McLennan County area in Waco. By the way, Marco's Pizza lovers get it, and so does Marco's. Whatever pizza you want, of course, it's like any place. You can call them and get it, but Marco's Pizza, there's something special about them. Bob Mack used to work for another big chain nationally, then started his own company as far as running his own pizza places, including Marco's Pizza. Our favorite here, at least mine, is the flat, thin crust, all-meat pizza. If you want something thick crust, you want veggie, you whatever, they got it. It's like a pizza place that, of course, delivers to you. And, of course, you can go by their locations. China Spring, Bell Mead, and Woodway. Marco's Pizza, pizza lovers get it.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Allen Samuels is holding the Ram Spotlight event on the new 2021 Ram Lone Star Crew Cab trucks at Allen Samuels. The three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year is built to serve. This truck is perfect for whatever your lifestyle calls for. Impressive towing, high-strength steel frame, and the smoothest, most comfortable ride of any truck. Allen Samuels located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco. Come see the Ram Lone Star Crew Cab. The Ram Spotlight event won't last long. Visit Allen Samuels today or online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
Come by. Let's be friends.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, here we go. Did you know this is not on either one of the topics we just had? The first hour is mainly about the one play, and more of you are responding. 254-339-1122, the one play in your college football favorite team's history that you wish you had back. And if you're a Baylor fan, take any of the sports, any particular moment. Paul brought up the error in the 10th inning against Arkansas in the best of three after they won game one of that. In the regionals, it sent Arkansas on to the next level. There were 223 high school football jobs that changed so far this year. There's still another month and a half before the season begins.
That's absurd. That just seems like way too big of a number.
I will promise you, I could be off, but I guarantee you that's almost the annual average. So think about this. There's like 12 or 1,300 UIL schools. This is UIL. Mm-hmm. 6-man up to 6A. That's 1/5 or 6th. That's 20%. 18 to 20%. And then do it again next year.
Yeah. Although I think, so it's down to 5 open ones. I think Red Oak got filled.
Red Oak got filled, and so did, I think, Poly. I think Evadale got filled, which is in deep southern East Texas. But there'll be 2 or 3 that open between now and maybe August of the first weekend. Yeah. August when they work
Red Oak
out.
hired the DeSoto defensive coordinator, right?
Yep. Yeah. I think Anthony Holmes or someone like that. David George. On Twitter, Seth lost his chance to be Baylor's best quarterback ever. The Bryce Petty getting tackled by the 5-yard line against Oklahoma State. So right now, would you say the top, Paul, this is a top 5 at 342?
Yeah.
Okay. Seth Russell against Iowa State, the injury when he lowered his head. Mm-hmm. Bryce Petty tripping inside the 5 against Oklahoma State. Mm-hmm. The field goal against Michigan State. Mm-hmm. How about Jamichael Hasty's fumble at home against Oklahoma when they were unbeaten?
How about his fumble at Texas?
Oh, my God, even worse. Even
6-0.
worse, because they were 6-0, even despite catastrophic week, dumpster fire from hell coming down the pipeline. They had staved that off, and Jamichael, even when they just couldn't put it in, Hasty's fumble got Texas going, and they end up winning the game. That's a great. Yeah. It's Seth Tripp, remember, inside the. He hurdled somebody and almost kept his balance.
Yeah, that hasty fumble. I mean, that was theirs for the taking. That was seal the deal, and they'd be 7-0, and they'd be going to play TCU.
Yeah, and it would have been a little bit. I think there still would have been some rocky moments.
Yeah, but it wasn't going to be like it was.
No,
it wasn't going to be like it was coming off of that brutal loss and then just everything falling apart off the field.
Yeah, because I think the coaches would have refocused a little. It'd be a great question next time we have Bennett.
You would have been 7-0. Like you would have had no choice but to focus.
Yeah.
But as soon as they got that first loss, that's when everything unraveled because, I think it stayed intact that cooler heads would have prevailed and everybody would have just kept digging and just saying, you know what, we're unbeaten. We got to keep this thing going. But once you took that first loss and you did in the fashion that you did, and it was as gut-wrenching as it was, and then the timing of just, the people in charge at Baylor and the stupid PR moves they were making, and it blew everything up. It blew everything up.
On the forums page, and this is premium, but I'm going to read some of these. R.J. Hunter's 3.
Which 3?
Which one? Yeah.
The last one,
yeah.
One of like 15 that he made.
Yeah. But pretty much right down the line.
It's like asking Antonio Cromartie which kid broke the cookie jar.
I remember that vividly because it was on during the middle of the day. So our show was short that day, the one I was on at the time. And I remember maybe going back home to just watch because it was the game was on and we were going to have post game and all that, blowing everything out. And I think y'all were coming on maybe later or something for a short bit. But yeah, that felt like the whole world sunk that day. It was a bad feeling.
You know what? I just remember that game. That's the best seat I've ever had for any basketball game. That particular game was the best seat I've ever had covering a basketball game. R.J. Hunter.
Yeah.
And it was so damn depressing.
Yeah, no, you're right. Also, here's another one. Again, that Oklahoma game. This is a little bit ticky-tacky, but it was interesting. Baylor had stopped Oklahoma, remember, inside about the 25 or 30 on a 4th and 5, and there was a late defensive holding call. It was 28-3 at the time. Oklahoma scored. Now, still, you're up 18, so go take care of your business. Appreciate that. A lot of those Cotton Bowl. Hey, Steve Howe keeps his feet, rumbles into the end zone in a 1976 homecoming game against Arkansas, but that didn't happen. If they win the game, they go to the Cotton Bowl. I didn't know that. That's an old Texas memory that I didn't know. Old Baylor memory that I didn't know. All right.
Which one was the horse collar one? Was that Trayvon Blanchard? There was one that says number 48 with the horse collar. I was trying to see what that was referring to.
Number 48. That's with that's from Brother.
Which one was that? I'm saying.
I don't know with the horse collar tackle. I don't know.
Yeah. That is. That is the brother of. Yeah. So that's obviously who he would be referring to.
Yeah. Also,
it's great to be a SicEm365 premium member. I'll tell you that much.
No question about it. A lot of good stuff, but the hasty fumble against Oklahoma, but the one against Texas, I think, was even more deadly because you're 6-0 and you have that game won. They had that was their game over and over and over again.
I remember what that was. It was the Baker Mayfield horse collar in that Oklahoma game when they ended up going, they should have won the game.
Was that the 1-11 team?
Yeah, it was in Waco. They would have beat Oklahoma after losing to, UTSA? Or did they lose to UTSA first?
They lost to Liberty and then UTSA.
Yeah, and they would have beat Oklahoma most likely, but there was that horse collar on Baker Mayfield. Y'all remember that now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it completely flipped the momentum of that game. So, that's why, that makes a lot of sense.
Chris Callahan, like the one that was Seth against Iowa State, by the way, in that 2015 game when he broke his neck. So a lot of good feedback. Appreciate that. A lot of that. By the way, Tampa Bay is the city of champions.
Oh, Paul, yeah. I missed
1-0 nail biter.
I missed the lion's share of the game last night, but because I was doing
watching fireworks.
No, I was at Slapsticks doing some stuff to help them get open. But it was a great game. The Tampa team is really, really good. Montreal was kind of like Dallas last year, a team that nobody really expected to make it in. It's a weird season in that the Canadian teams didn't play an American team until Montreal played Vegas in the playoffs. So they played all against the other Canadian teams all year long because of COVID. And then, Montreal just not nearly as good as Tampa. Clearly,
here's what Tampa could do. They can play any style, any way you want to, but you're not going to usually dictate how the game is played. But if you do, they will still beat you in that way.
What the thing I noticed about them is you watch a lot of hockey games and a lot of goals accidental, but they come out of like you're fighting for it. Tampa does this stuff that you see in hockey movies where a guy just gets on the break and has this ridiculous shot. Plus, they had Andre Vasilevsky, and he is an unbelievable goalie, just a gigantic mountain of a human being who's super athletic, and that's why they won because of Vasilevsky, because he had 4 bad moments in the whole playoffs.
You talking about the goalie?
Yeah.
Did you see his press conference?
No.
I saw his buddies. The other guys, I forget his name now, but he was talking about Vasi. He's a Russian guy, I think, and he was
drinking a beer.
Yeah, and he was talking about how Vasilevsky should have been the MVP and should have been the MVP, the Vezina Trophy winner like the last 2 years, but they've given it to teams that don't even go on to win the cup, and he proved it because he went on to win the cup and he was the best player. And he kind of the reason why the clip even went sort of somewhat viral is because he was capping on the Montreal fans and making fun of them a little bit.
How they had celebrated what they thought was a Stanley Cup when they won Game 4.
They celebrated like they'd won the Cup when they'd only won one game, and a bunch of Montreal fans were testy, and they got into the whole, well, at least we have fans and all that, and that's all true, Montreal fans, but like you still don't have the Cup, and that's all that really matters. I mean, that's all that really matters is the Cup, not who has the better fans. I'd rather be a Lightning fan and have lesser reaction but be back-to-back champs than be a Canadiens fan and have a bunch of history that hadn't mattered in a while, so
kind of like my football team. All of them.
Yeah, I mean, not to dismiss the Canadiens fans. I think it's great that they got in the finals, and it definitely, provided some excitement and some extra juice to hockey. But, at the same time, fans are one thing, but winning's actually what matters.
We need to dial up, try to find that press conference. It's a short, like a minute and a half, but they have the beeps and the blips and all that other stuff. But here's one from Joe Rodriguez, who's a big TCU fan. Joe Frog 91. TCU's incomplete pass in the end zone in 2009 Fiesta Bowl would have erased Andy's pick 6. That team was 12-1. That's not the team that beat Wisconsin.
No.
In the Rose Bowl, but they were 12-1, lost to Boise State. Number 3 against number 6, 17-10 at the Fiesta Bowl.
Boise.
That team gets overlooked. I don't remember that much.
Yeah, I think several fan bases have a bad Boise State memory.
Yeah, they do that.
That's what they do.
Not Baylor.
No.
That's one of their best wins in a bowl game, considering the circumstances. The interim and Jim Grobe, and, of course, the disastrous 6 straight losses. Oklahoma's got their Boise State moment, and obviously TCU had theirs as well. So, all right.
Armstrong, I just sent you that hockey clip, by the way, your DMs. I just slid into Armstrong's DMs. So we should have that hockey clip at some point.
I'm going to say this right now, and I'm going to go ahead and say this on the air, but in between commercial talk, like Jack, Armstrong, Emma, and Hayden are in the studio with us almost every day. And I've been in this radio business now since 1990. And the suggestions that we have from these 4 people, and Emma, she doesn't say much, but I know she's involved. She doesn't say much. I think she's just like watching.
Yes, she's observing.
But the suggestions we get from our crew, our people, production, technical, behind the scenes are insanely amazing.
Yeah, they do
I mean that to every one of you.
They do an incredible job. Emma's just on that same wavelength as me. We don't talk unless we really have something to say. Isn't that right? So, just don't talk to talk.
I do have a feeling that Emma one day is going to be
an
absolute boss.
No.
Sure.
Yeah,
I think
she's going to be an absolute boss.
No, and I mean that. We're not trying to embarrass you either. She doesn't say much, but she is like monitoring. Let's like the silent assassin.
No, yeah, we got a good group. That was actually that was somebody called me Stealth Bomber a long time ago.
Stealth Bomber?
Yeah.
Like a ninja.
I'm very quiet and unassuming, and then when you least expect it, I can be very surprising. So, Stealth Bomber was what somebody nicknamed me.
Somebody sent me a message, by the way. We're going to play this press conference. Okay, I'll get to it a little bit later. Somebody put a direct message up about wearing caps on the set and what they were asking about that. And my response, I'll tell them what I said about you. Here is him. This is a guy from Tampa.
Lightning, we have Nikita Kucherov. Media, please raise your hand if you have a question. We'll start with Joe Smith, The Athletic.
Joe, let's hear it.
Just how would you describe your congratulations? How would you describe your emotions right now after doing what you guys did?
I don't know what to say. It's back to back, and I couldn't sleep for 3 nights. And to be able to win this game is huge. Wesley was outstanding. MVP. I was telling him every day, Wesley, you're MVP. You're the best player. And then they gave it to whatever the guy in Vegas, the Vezina. And then last year they gave Vezina to somebody else. Number one bull. Wesley took both cups. He took MVP, and I was keep telling him he's MVP. He's the guy that he's the best. He was on his head today, and he kept us in the game. And another shout out by him, remarkable. Can't even tell more. I'm so happy. I didn't want to go back to Montreal, but the fans in Montreal, come on. They acted like they won the Stanley Cup last game. Are you kidding me?
John Romano, Tampa Bay Times.
Their final was last series. Okay.
Mic drop.
Wasn't he once the president of Russia?
Probably.
That's Nikita Khrushchev. I'll tell you this. Hockey.
Was that his first beer?
Definitely not. Yeah. I think that hockey press conferences, I said the other day that sometimes they're mundane. Hockey championship press conferences and hockey players, because they're allowed to fight, are not afraid. Like they fear no social media repercussion because they know that they're going to work it out on the ice. So they fear no. So you'll hear a lot of times so what are your feelings after that game? I can't believe we lost to those guys. They suck. We're better than them. And you know what? The other team doesn't come back and go, why would you say that? They just hash it out. Yeah. They just hash it out.
Or they just go, okay, remember
No, they see each other on the ice. That's what they go and do. They don't go on Twitter and cry about it or have their fans.
Themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I respect that.
Absolutely. 254-339-1122. So Tampa Bay now has won the Super Bowl, played in the World Series, and have won back-to-back Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
And that's the third for the Lightning.
Title town, Tampa.
It is. And they don't have a basketball team.
Yeah, their basketball team's in Orlando.
And I never hear about that.
No.
Ever since Shaq and Penny Hardaway and all that guys. Those guys.
That was just a little while ago.
Yeah.
Shaq and Penny, 25 years ago. Yeah.
All right. 254-339-1122. We're here until 6 o'clock. We're going to replay Mack Rhoades from earlier this week. And then also Craig's off the radar at 4:45. I want to play Mack Rhoades again for this reason. There are a lot of comments that he is falling behind. No, not him. That Baylor is falling behind from people that, in some cases, based on how they're responding to me, you have a point or two that if you don't get ahead of this, you will be left behind, and there's a concern there. Some that own businesses, some that are Baylor alums who own businesses, some that are just worried about Baylor recruiting, and I do think that they have a grasp on it, but I do think that one of it's damned if you do, damned if you don't, or you're just going to go all in and say, we're going to do what Miami does. But who would do that for Baylor? Jim Turner Chevrolet? Would it be Magnolia? They could.
Yeah.
They could easily do that. And I'm not putting pressure on those businesses because they're so far ahead up here.
Well, not everybody wants to be involved with college athletics. I would be hesitant somewhat if I was a business. I wouldn't necessarily want to just go throw money at it.
Would it have been Mark Hurd if he had still been at Oracle?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And and here's what the MMA guy has maybe his target audience probably cares less about this, but I'll tell you whose target audience doesn't. Magnolia's. If there's any kind of problem and they're sponsoring a player, that's on Magnolia, on Discovery TV, and all this stuff. There's a whole huge hierarchy. The MMA guy has no one to answer to but himself.
Right.
No one.
And most MMA people aren't going to care one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, but if there's a scandal, if you're mad that Chip and Joe haven't, done the same deal as the MMA guy, well, they're not on the same business structure. They're that's a gigantic, they have their own corporation, their own company in Magnolia, but they also have contracts with other media entities that, and how these things, Chip and Joanna have had a whole bunch of stuff written about them that's not true or it's taken from a different perspective that they've had to deal with anyway. I just think that as famous as they are, the juice is not worth the squeeze for them to do that, and they might not be both as into it. Chip might be. If you told Chip, hey, give a bunch of money, he might, but, he also has to ask his wife.
Yeah.
I mean, like everybody does.
One note today, Dare Rosenthal, the offensive lineman from LSU, has committed to Kentucky. This has been out there for a while. He was a name that became almost as popular in the premium section as Molly Miller, because Paul started that fiasco. But Dare Rosenthal is the offensive lineman who's had some suspensions at LSU. Baylor was apparently, without question, in the mix. There was interest, but there was also a little bit of, are we sure? Kentucky with Bowden, right? Mm-hmm. Pretty good football team now at Kentucky.
Yeah.
He's going to go to Kentucky.
Oh,
and good luck to
Stoops.
Stoops.
Mark Stoops.
Good luck to him. And I hope that he is able to find a way to stay eligible. He's got a couple of things he's got to deal with, and good luck to him. If he had been at Baylor, what I thought I saw, though, was that damned if you do, damned if you don't. There was a lot of this, no, we need him because he plays the one position where people are begging for more, offensive line. Number two, he's a big dude, played at LSU, obviously. But you know what?
The transfer portal still people picking places to go.
Yes, at the same time, don't be hypocritical when it comes to accepting what otherwise you would say is not good for someone else. You know what I mean by that? Because all it takes is 2 or 3 of those. Now, we're talking about a guy that may have some issues with some drug test rather than some criminal activity, but you just be careful what you start to let get in the program, because you never know. All it takes is one bad slip, and the next thing you know, we don't have to bring up the rest. 254-339-1122. This is SicEm365 Radio.
If you are looking to buy a new home or looking to sell the one you're in, you need to call my friend Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. Lance describes himself as a local realtor with a unique perspective. And believe me, he is just that. He is going to be able to listen to and find those details to help you find that dream home. And look, I can tell you all the things you want to hear about Lance, but just give him a call, 254-214-3713, because, again, if you have got to get in the real estate market now, either buying or selling, it is a seller's market right now. So you want to make sure that when you sell your home, you're probably going to get a great price, but you got to get a good deal on rolling that into the next home. That's what Lance can help you do and navigate the crazy market. So give him a call, 254-214-3713, or online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com, or just simply Google Lance Donaldson, eXp Realty.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Over the middle, he has Ebner in for a touchdown.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Back here on SicEm365 Radio.
Did anyone hear that? So needy. So. All right. By the way, we're going to do this. We're going to take a break here in a minute and then come back with Mack Rhoades. So, Craig, what did you do last night? Yesterday evening?
Watched TV, just kicked it. No, I went and got vaccinated. I said I was going to on the show yesterday. Yeah. I said my whole little spiel on it of, I get it. I get the hesitancy. I just had COVID back in the spring, and so I waited longer than most people when it first became available. I understand all of the people who have like hesitancy and everything like that or feel like they don't need it. I get all that, but I just bit the bullet because, like today, for example, if you go to Big 12 Media Days next week, if you're not vaccinated, you got to wear a mask all day long. Mm-hmm. And that kind of thing is not going to change anytime soon. So I just bit the bullet and got it out of the way. And yeah.
Yeah, I hate that rule. But so last night I got home. Craig was going to go get his first of his 2 Moderna, whatever it's called. And, so I Googled
I texted
Johnson & Johnson, and Craig,
I texted you and I said I had gotten the vax. I showed you my vax card, and it was it took me less than 10 minutes total to get it all done. Like you schedule it online wherever, Walgreens, CVS, wherever you want to go, and it's very simple. And so, so I texted you when I walked out because I know that you have been very kind of cautious and everything, and just told you that it was fine, that it was not a big deal, and you then went on to do what?
Well, I Googled Johnson & Johnson, and the Pharmacy Plus on China Spring Road, which is like 6 minutes from where I live, and I got the Johnson & Johnson shit.
I am proud of you, Smokey.
No, I'm not. The government forced me to do this.
I am proud
that you did that. It's part of being a part of a communist government.
Yeah.
Okay. And a shingle shot.
Right.
And by the way, this
polio.
one was on that same level for this Johnson & Johnson. It wasn't a hammer, but it was close. I mean, it's like, wow.
Hey, look, what I took was not a problem at all. And like today my arm is a little bit sore, but it's not like bothering me.
I'll tell you, the hardest part for me was the actual first shot. The woman who gave me the shot, I went down to Marlin and got the shot on March 10th. And I went to Marlin, and this woman was about 6'2", very tall lady, and I was sitting down in a chair, and she said, right arm or left arm? I said, I guess the left. And before it was out of my hand, she just came down like, whoop bap! And I thought, oh, hey. And then I thought, I got in my car and was like, why would she do that? And then I thought, it's not, she didn't do it on purpose. It's now muscle memory. Think about these nurses that their job has been to vaccinate people all day long. So the muscle memory of just...
Dude, my nurse, whoever stepped out, she was not having any wasted time. It was like 6:30 at night, and she just like, pricked me with it real quick. It didn't hurt at all. And then I tried to make some small talk like, hey, y'all been busy, and she was just not having it. She was like so busy, I guess. But I'll tell you this much. The Moderna vaccine shot that I got hurt far, far less than the COVID test up the nose that I got whenever we had our patient zero situation here and we had to take tests. And the COVID test was way more uncomfortable than the shot was. That's a fact. Yeah. That nose test is not fun at all.
I've been able to avoid all that.
I am proud of you, though. I'm glad that you did that, and I think it's,
I feel like I failed America.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
All right, so... Okay,
America fails many people all day long.
Right, yeah. I mean, you're way back in the line. We all are.
The protocol forced me to. I didn't want to do it, but I want to be able to do our job, my job, for you, and so... I did. I got it done. I'm sick and tired of hearing about it.
Yeah, and that was my thing, too. I'm sick and tired of hearing about it. I was looking at, like, all these protocols you're going to have to go through if you don't, have it. And, like, look, if I was not in this business and it was just an everyday work thing and it wasn't required, I don't know. Maybe my thinking would be differently, but that's not the situation. So, yeah, it's wear a mask everywhere, at every event, at every stadium, and do all that, or just get vaccinated. So I bit the bullet, and I am proud of you, glad that you did as well.
Thank you.
And, I understand, like I said, people who have different thoughts, but I feel good about it now.
Thank you. I got it done. We're all vaccinated until like 4 months from now when they say
we got to get it again. With the polio and the flu and all those other shots we're going to have.
From Mike and then a break and then Mack, Rhoades and a couple other moments, we should all know that fans, especially those active on the internet, know everything about everything and what should or should not be done much better than those who are doing it. And it doesn't matter if it's evaluation of an athlete, coaching, recruiting, or as in the case of Mack Rhoades, director of college sports programs.
It's very low.
Mike.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mike,
I think he just said, don't say this one on the radio. I'm going to catch enough comments anyway. All right.
No, I think you're right, though. Everybody's an expert on the internet about everything, especially the things that they're passionate about, and even more so about the things they hate. I mean, I've found that to be a thing on Twitter particularly. But, yeah, I mean, everybody's got an opinion. Doesn't mean they all matter or that they're all good ones, but, yeah, appreciate the text and the feedback.
All right, a couple more of their memories. This is from Clavin. Smokey, great question. I just put it up on the site. I've got a slightly different angle. Yes, the Seth neck injury was brutal. I think we go to the college football playoff if he stays healthy. But there seemed to be inevitability to him getting hurt, given the aggression he ran with the ball. So I'll go with Stidham getting thrown to the turf illegally on the third play of the Oklahoma game. If he's healthy, we beat Oklahoma that year by a couple of touchdowns. He was hurting so badly, we had to try and force the run game. We beat Oklahoma, and we go to the college football playoff. And that's in 2015?
Yeah, yeah.
And I do not think Stidham would have hurt his ankle if his back was healthy, which, it's one of those things. Okay.
Yeah,
I do remember that now.
I loved watching Seth Russell play, and he will forever be one of the biggest what-ifs, I think, in Baylor history as far as, if healthy, what could he have done? And very well could have led them to heights they had never experienced before, like being in the college football playoff. But he did start to get sort of that RG3 syndrome of, like, anytime he got close to contact or, was running, you're like, oh, God, oh, God, oh, God, oh, God. And, that's really frustrating and tiresome to watch every week. But, man, he was fun. And, I just wish injuries wouldn't have caught up to him.
There's a couple more, the 63 Texas and Baylor game with the touchdown that did not occur because Duke Carlisle stepped in front of a Lawrence Elkins pass from Don Trull. Here's one more. Let's see here. Well, of course, there's the Kevin Steele 99-yard touchdown.
Wait for this to be brought
on the
up.
fumble.
But I also know
that would be more the like top 5 disastrous moments.
Yeah, because the thing is not even if they win that game, nothing much comes of it. I mean, they win one more game that year, but they're still an awful football team. But yeah, I was waiting for somebody to bring that one up. So glad that they did.
And here's one more throwback. I like them to the break. It was This is 1987. Baylor, Southern Cal, and Waco. Baylor top 10. Rodney Peete led USC down 14-0 right before the half. Baylor is set to score in the 1. Running back takes the handoff, dives towards the end zone, pops up in the air. Tim McDonald returned it the other direction for a touchdown. The touchdown would have put Baylor up 14-0. It's very similar to that Bryce Petty inside the 5 early, or even someone who brought up Texas with Colt McCoy against Alabama, whatever. But and then the UNLV game, you never hear about that one, but that was early. It wasn't if you take a knee, you win the game against UNLV. So Tim McDonald, he was a great player in college.
I know we got to go. I've mentioned this before, but for years and years and years, up until like 2 months ago, I had never seen the UNLV play. I had only heard about it and its legend and it's pain for many Baylor fans that were around to see that. But somehow or another, like I'm telling you, it was scrubbed. Like it was scrubbed from the internet. I looked everywhere. I could not find it. For years, I could not find it. And then just
because Kevin Steele paid
I'm telling you could not find it. It was not on YouTube. It was not like on, Daily Motion or any of those sites. And finally, somehow or another, it eventually got put up in the last couple months. I witnessed it for the first time, and it was as advertised.
You know why it is? Because Kevin Steele went on several head coach interviews, and they just put up YouTube, and it was like, this was you, right? Okay, yeah. Thanks, you're a nice guy, but...
That Tim McDonald play apparently was in 86, not 87. They played in L.A. Coliseum the year before that in 85. That's back when, they had the great non-conference schedule, and they're trying to get that back again.
Have you ever seen the play?
Yeah, I did. It looks like to me the handoff never got to the running back. Play that again. No.
I know this is not great radio, but no, he had the handoff. He was just fighting for that extra yard and put it up here.
There was nothing wrong with that. That's not on the. I'm gonna.
You want to see it, Armstrong? You want me to forward this to you?
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it later on. But I thought it was like you're on the 1. They're on like the 12 or 13 yard line.
Either way, what does it matter? You're going to win the game.
Yeah, I know, but it's not like you were trying to dig a touchdown. You're at the 12. I may have to revision.
No, he admitted they were trying to score a touchdown.
Yeah, well, I know. The running back's trying to get that extra yard. He could have gone down as much as someone can blame the call because he gets blasted for that. I'm going to have to go back and look at the replay.
Okay,
all right,
who's at fault? Okay, you leave the kids alone in the house with matches and they set a fire. Who's at fault, the kids or the parents?
The kids for being idiots. I mean,
but you still hey, I left you a bunch of matches and lighter fluid.
Every house where you leave kids, there's some sort of probably a thing of matches, by the way. I just gave that away, didn't I? That's not a good thing. When we come back, Mack, Rhoades, Craig's Off the Radar, Paul's Top 5 at 5:55, and also we'll maybe show the video. And we may need to debate this Kevin Steele getting grilled for all these years for UNLV, and then I'll get grilled. And this is SicEm365 Radio.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long business meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine.
They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 superfan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
So, yeah, very interesting.
We're now joined by Baylor's Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades. This is day, I think, 5 or 6 of the national, or name, image, and likeness. Mack, thanks for your time. Hope you had a great 4th of July weekend and got a little bit of some decompression downtime. What are your early impressions on NIL?
Yeah, pretty calm, for the most part, nothing that really maybe surprised me, other than, I'm sure you've talked about it already, the, University of Miami football and that, that arrangement, that contract, that relationship with the MMA training academies and, this, $500 a month contract, up to $6,000 a year for every football player. And, just have had some early conversation with some of my colleagues in the business. And, that one feels almost straight pay for play. Mm-hmm. And when you're offering it across the board to every single member of the team, so I will say, at least amongst the group that I visit with, there's some uncomfortableness there, and you speak to, I think that's an example of maybe uneven playing field, and that's strictly for recruiting purposes, obviously, and again, not being critical of it, they are within the rules doing it, but I think there's some uncomfortableness there, and I think that's why at some point in time here in the near future we've got to get to a place where we've got consistent rule, right, and application of rule across the industry. So, and that's probably not going to happen without federal legislation.
Is this kind of the issue that's maybe shown how hard it is to get things through all the member institutions when you have 300 plus member institutions that all have to come to an agreement on this? Is this really why it's stalled, that there's just too many people that have to agree to a plan for NIL for it to work?
No, because I don't think everybody needs to agree to it. I think there's a lot of moving pieces and parts to it, Paul. I think it's a really good question. So I didn't mean to insinuate otherwise, but it is a really good question. But the NCAA has the ability in terms of name, image, and likeness legislation to the D1 Council and the Board of Governors have the ability to implement across the board. I think given just where we are in terms of lawsuits and antitrust, I think there's a lot of carefulness in terms of what to implement, how far to implement, and I think that's why the NCAA I believe is hoping and I think we're all needing some sensible federal name, image, and likeness legislation that governs us all.
Mack, sorry, go ahead.
Keyword is sensible.
Sensible, yep. Mack, what have you been able to gather? I don't know, who all's around right now and all of that. It's the middle of the summer, but what kind of feedback have you received from the student athletes, just as far as them now having this opportunity? Is there an excitement there? Is it the unknown make it even more exciting? How have you kind of gauged the feedback?
Yeah, Craig, I think I was listening to the conversation that you guys were finishing before you brought me on, and a little bit hard to gauge because of summer, but there was a session with our student athletes, and I think there's I think with at least our student athletes, I think there's a sense of gratefulness and appreciation for the way we're handling it and the thoughtfulness, and I do think there's some excitement to it as well. So our coaches have been terrific, our student athletes have been terrific, and as we get out of maybe summer break, and as you think about maybe right around the 1st of August, I'll be interested to see, just kind of where we are, and both as an industry and here at Baylor. But so far for us, I think we're in a good place, and I think our coaches and student athletes are in a good place.
We had you on last week, and then we also were a part of a media Zoom session with Chad Jackson and Jovan Overshone about NIL. And then I kind of saw some of the reaction. Of course, message boards, you got to be careful because it can get a little bit nuts in there. But it was almost as if some thought that you guys weren't prepared for that. That's not the case. That's not what you said to us last week, was it?
No, I mean, we've been talking about this for months and months, and I think we've been extremely prepared. And, I think what's maybe a little bit different is, some of the stuff that schools are announcing that they're doing and some of the education behind it. I'll give you, for example, the whole financial education. Those are things that we've already been doing, and we've been doing that under the guise of, our Baylor Built program. And, now there's some name, image, and likeness additions to it. So Baylor Built Plus, we've changed the name as we've talked to. And so, I can, absolutely say that with 100% confidence that that is not the case. I think we're 100% prepared and have been, and we know philosophically, and we've talked about it on this show, philosophically how we're going to handle it, how we're going to manage it, I think, we're on, the same page in terms of coaches, administration. So I feel great about where we are and that we're in a great place. And, for those that are saying that, they quite frankly have no idea.
Will it be harder for coaches or administrators to wrap their arms around this because of the way, especially with coaches, are all about routine and the way things have always kind of worked for them? It might be hard for a certain generation of coaches to really grasp this, won't it?
Yeah, that's Paul, it's a great question because, we had a working group and it speaks to the preparation, right? So we've had this name, image, and likeness working group. And just within the working group, there's been different dynamics. We have, people on that working group that, I'm going to say, mid-20s, late 20s, right, that see it and grasp it differently and probably from a perspective of look at all of the great possibilities, opportunities. Whereas, some others didn't necessarily, see it or grasp it that way. And so I thought that was a really interesting dynamic. And so it plays along a little bit what you're asking, when you're talking about, administrators versus coaches. I think, for coaches, and if you're in their shoes, right, at least if I'm a coach, I just, without compromising values, I just don't want to be at a competitive disadvantage. And so I think that's where their minds are from that recruiting perspective, et cetera. I just, again, want to have a fair chance, again, without compromising values and doing it within our philosophy. And again, our head coaches have been unbelievable, right? This idea when you use the word brand and Baylor being the overarching, the predominant brand, but still finding ways for individual student athletes to grow their brand and to maximize it within the Baylor brand. And so again, I speak to I think we're in a good place, and this is going to evolve, no doubt. It's going to evolve. I think it's at some point in time it's going to jump out really, really strong, and then probably retract and correct itself, so to speak.
So when you were having conversations with those in your business about Miami, was there that just can't happen? I mean, yet again, what they're doing based on their state, it can, because Chad Jackson kind of made it clear that if it doesn't come from the school itself, then it's kind of, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it's kind of open season, right? Yeah. Yep.
If the institution isn't involved in orchestrating and it's we're not pushing, we're not at the center of it, then yeah. And so again, not being critical of it's a great program, great history, great athletics program, all of those things. But that was the conversation, just being candid with you that, man, that one just feels like, and maybe, well, Mack, what would make it feel different maybe? And I think, well, maybe, yeah, there's probably, a handful of football student athletes, on the Miami team, or maybe even more than that, right? Because it is a great program. They've got a great team, but that endorsing those training facilities on their social media accounts is really helpful and beneficial, to those training facilities, et cetera, right? But when it's across the board and it's all 85, and I think it's really 90 this year because of the super seniors, then that just feels a little different. But again, right now, within the rules.
Mack, is this something else just to keep you up at night?
No, not really. To be honest with you, I'm comfortable where we are and how we're doing it, and I think when you combine this with everything else that we're dealing with, maybe that keeps you up at night a little bit. The Alston case and all of the other different COVID and still trying to navigate that, the Delta variant. What happened in Omaha with NC State, and so there's probably 6 or 7 things that when you combine them all together, they keep you up a little bit later than what you'd like.
Were you surprised at all that Matthew Meyer was the first student athlete at Baylor who had somebody contact him?
No, I was not.
No, we weren't either. No.
And I say that very complimentary to Matthew. So,
Mack, and next week in Arlington will be Big 12 Media Days. Bunch of people all under one roof. Are you looking forward to that? And Dave Aranda, I guess, kind of his first. You didn't get to do this last year, obviously, but Dave Aranda getting to talk a little bit and present the program.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Football Media Days, it signifies, I think, to all of us, it's just right around the corner, and, conversations begin ramping up, and, you look for to the beginning of, or to the start of the fall camp. And so excited about that. I'm excited for Coach and to be able to experience that for the first time, and the young men that will also be present. And again, we were on a call today just talking about how we were going to navigate it with COVID, and those that are vaccinated versus unvaccinated, and masks, no masks, and all of that stuff. So that's still prevalent in our world, and will be as we continue to work through the summer. But excited for Football Media Day, excited for Coach, for our staff, and can't wait for practice to begin.
I have one more question, if you don't mind. A lot of players in this day and age where now there's the stipend, there's now the NIL, there are the cost of education, there's the travel, there's the swag, the jerseys, all the things that now student athletes get. And I'm not arguing against any of it. What are your thoughts about that is team issued equipment and or I guess merchandise, correct? What are your thoughts then about them when they get that, turning around and making a profit off of it themselves?
Great question. Candidly, I have some reservations about it, and I think that I think it's hard to have the conversation because I do think that there's potentially some circumstances where it makes sense, and some where it probably gives me some heartburn. So, and that's going to continue to be a topic of conversation. And again, for me, it's I just go back to Smoak, this idea of, again, I think it's important for our young people to thoughtfully, carefully navigate their brand and their name, who they are as a person, who they are as a student athlete, and so I'm all for that. And if they can make $1 or $2 along the way, again, I support that. Where I struggle is if that becomes now bigger than the university, bigger than that's where I struggle, and that's what we're trying to navigate. Obviously, the level playing field, recruiting, the guardrails, all of those things are really, really important. But philosophically, that's where we're gonna continue to try to monitor and make sure we've got a great balance. And again, our student athletes have been terrific, and so have our coaches.
Thank you, Mack. Appreciate your time. As always, Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics. Yep, thank you. At Baylor University with us on SicEm365 Radio. Craig, I was able to get that last one in. I'd written it down about the selling of jerseys.
Well, it sounds like he's with me on this.
Yeah.
As far as, I know what you guys were saying, and I understand they go and sweat in those jerseys and all that, but if it's part of the scholarship to begin with, and those uniforms are then being worn by somebody who turns around after not paying for the uniform, it was given to him as part of all the other thousands of dollars of things that they get, and then they turn around and sell it for thousands of dollars, I have a problem with that. Like, I understand why that shouldn't be a big deal, and it's not something I'm getting hung up on, but it just seems kind of dirty like that.
All right, that's Mack Rhoades from earlier this week, and many of what we talked about, the topics about name, image, and likeness, as that story continues. When we come back, Craig Smoak's Off the Radar. Also today, Paul's Top 5 at 5:55, an interesting conversation about college football and the state of Texas homebred players. 254-339-1122. This is SicEm365 Radio. And Don Chumidor, I was there earlier this week and walked in the door. Ashley was there. Cheyenne was there. Didn't see Carol, but she's there other days as well. Walked in the door so I could get some cigars. And La Fontana and Rocky Patel, Torpedo Edge. And, man, those are such a good smoke. Or maybe you want Cohiba or Macanudo or Romeo and Julieta. In fact, today I was playing golf earlier today, and one of the guys in my group said, man, that cigar smells really good. It was Romeo and Julieta, Churchill length. They have all the great cigars, all the top cigars in the country, in the world, inside their 48-foot walk-in humidor. And, oh, by the way, if you do struggle at night trying to fall asleep, they have VitaDreams. It's a CBD product. Sometimes, oh, my God, no, it's a CBD product, VitaDreams. It'll help you fall asleep quicker, and that allows you to save 30, 45 minutes to an hour of sleep. For the morning, the alarm goes off, you're a little bit better. It's Don Chumidor and Coffee Beans. Tell Cheyenne, Carol, and Ashley Smokey sent you in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available. Touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
All right, here we go. I'm about to lose my Baylor fans, not of me, but of just Kevin Steele. What year was this, Paul?
Was it 2003?
I think it was somewhere. I don't know. Kevin Steele, UNLV and Baylor. I really never watched the game. Craig was bringing this up earlier. He finally saw video of the play that turned into UNLV, ran it back for a touchdown, and Baylor should have won the game. They take a knee and they win the game. But I just kind of like, you know how things grow into this massive like story. Kevin Steele is getting a bad rap for UNLV.
Was that 99? Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, 1999.
Okay.
I'm not saying that he could have taken a knee. Yes, he could have done this. But our good friend Sean Hunt says it was Ben Perry, the running back from Bryan High School. All right, here's the play. 1999, Baylor has the game won. Clock is running out. And here is the play that basically Kevin Steele will never be able to get away from. All right?
Instead of taking a knee with time running out, the Bears played for one more touchdown, and they got it. Only it was UNLV scoring the point.
The Rebels have the football. UNLV's going to score a touchdown. The Rebels have the football. Kevin Tallis, ball of football. Touchdown. Rebels.
Okay. There's a lot of Baylor fans right now that are sick to their stomachs, probably very angry with us for playing that.
Maybe the owners of this company. I don't know.
True.
I mean, 3 of them are all Baylor grads.
All right. I've seen that play like twice in my lifetime. Craig, thank you for bringing that up. That wasn't, they were on about the 12 or 13 yard line. The running back was just as much at fault as it was. Like, there's a big hole. You know, he tries to get that extra yard.
He puts the ball over by his shoulder. Like, what kind of security is that?
I always thought it was a bobbled hand.
And why was he fighting so hard to get to the end zone? You didn't need to score.
I know that's the running back's fault.
No, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, there's a couple of parts of that. I mean, the call, I mean, it should never have happened to begin with.
So you guys,
okay, look,
how come Kevin Steele gets 100%?
Because it should never have happened to begin with.
Okay, if the president of the United States, I mean, calls it any president. I'm just saying, hypothetical president. Let's say
we've seemed like we've had a few of those too.
Let's say the dude from Independence Day.
Who was the guy?
Bill Pullman in Independence Day.
Okay.
All right. The aliens have attacked, and he just sends, there's a part in the movie where he just sends planes to go fight them without knowing what they're doing, and they get blown up. Whose fault is it that the planes got...
He was protecting our country.
No. Whose fault is it that the planes got blown up? Is it the guys who are following orders or the guy who gave the orders?
Well, okay, they were going to get blown up anyway. So they didn't have to worry about the disaster, that impending disaster.
I mean, look, I agree with you. Look, if the aliens come or the zombie apocalypse happens, please take me in that.
I'm telling you this. But Kevin Steele takes the blame, or whether he deserves it or not. I'm not, this is not clicks and views. I'm being dead serious. I always thought it was a bobbled handoff. Like the running back never got the ball.
Okay.
And I'm telling you now, this wasn't as bad as it looked. Now, there could have been a couple of extra tight ends in the game. I see 2 receivers split left side.
He has the ball.
Yeah, and Ashley texted Darrell Bush was the running back.
Darrell Bush, okay.
I wish I told y'all during the break.
Yeah.
Expose that man.
Ashley was on his...
you got to blame the football team for not having enough speed to track this guy down.
Ashley was on his honeymoon in Cape Cod when this happened.
Oh, I bet that was a great memory.
Great evening. Just eating lobster rolls, pissed off.
Armstrong, is Kevin Steele 100% at fault with this loss?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
You have the game won, and you decide to not.
You want to send a message. You want to try to maybe jam one in. But if you're trying to score, is that the play to run? That's just like handing the ball off in a scrum.
Why is he running that play?
Well, there's only
shouldn't have ran a play.
Either
there's no other discussion to have about what they did. They should never have ran a play.
You can't possibly be defending this.
You can't possibly. They could run a play. The play would be take the snap and put your knee on the ground. That's the only play to run.
The only way that UNLV can win that game is in that exact scenario. So if your job as a coach is to take out the exact scenario in which you're going to lose. So there's only one scenario. They've got to get the ball from you with no timeouts and score. And there's no time on the clock. Like there's nothing. Like they have to get the ball and score. You have to do something dumb for them to win, and you did it.
Why doesn't Darrell Bush take more heat?
Because again, he was just following orders.
And we've had him on. I mean, yeah. Wonder how much he didn't sleep that night.
I'm sure he still wakes up in the middle of the night thinking about it.
He's like, oh, my God. All right, I'm wrong.
Kevin Steele doesn't care, though.
No, because he's won national championships.
$18 million as an assistant coach.
Yeah.
He just made $3 million to coach at Tennessee for a month and a half.
All right, when we come back, Craig Smoak. That's pretty good. See, he's not bad. He's not a bad coordinator or assistant coach in recruiting. Craig Smoak's Off the Radar is next.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, got the summer savings event going on right now, and they've got a lot of great deals over at Richard Carr. Right now, you can save on both used and new vehicles that are on the lot during the summer savings event. And that includes Buicks, GMCs, a variety of different vehicles. And, of course, at Richard Carr, you're always going to have great customer service. So right now, take advantage of these great deals. You can check out the 2021 Buick SUVs. Right now, qualified buyers get 0% for 72 months. And they'll get you back on the road with space, safety, and luxury. That's what comes with the Buick models. As I mentioned, pre-owned cars and trucks, they're all over the lot, loaded with premium pre-owned cars and trucks, and they're all priced to move with multiple savings on a variety of different vehicles, each one of them going through a 172-point inspection before hitting the lot. And with dozens of lenders, Richard Carr says yes when others say no. 100% credit approval is always the goal. Richard Carr's your local hometown dealerships to give them a chance to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes on new cars and trucks, and superior service after the sale. Come by and take a test drive or let them bring the test drive to you. It's a summer savings event going on all month at Richard Carr.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rhoades Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sausage wrap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rhoades Barbecue. Next in line.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar.
Welcome in Off the Radar, taking a look at some news and notes around the world of sports and entertainment that find of interest but don't necessarily have a lot of time to discuss. So one note here, Smokey passed this along. Dejanay Carrington's going to play for El Azur Tel Aviv, Israel, in her first overseas season. So she is headed over to the Holy Land to play some international ball.
So Didi's going to play over there. Did I tell you guys that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did that twice. And then now Dejanay Carrington. And Didi, when we had the interview with her last week, remember what she said? We have to play over there. Armstrong, remember what she said? You loved that interview. We have to play over there to make some money because we don't make any here.
Armstrong loves Didi. I think he's had that on a loop since we played it, actually. And some fight news. Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, the fight that really only Deontay Wilder fans want to see at this point. The rematch that doesn't need to happen because Fury is 1-0 officially, but really 2-0 against Deontay Wilder. So now they're building this fight back up. It'd really be better to watch Fury fight Anthony Joshua or some other route. But here we are with Fury Wilder again, even though it's been very clear who the better fighter is, and that has been Tyson Fury. But now the fight's in jeopardy, and not because of the usual egos in boxing that derail these types of things. It's because there's been a COVID-19 outbreak. I guess Camp Fury did not get their vaccines because now the fight is in jeopardy. It was supposed to happen on July 24th for the heavyweight championship, so here in less than 3 weeks, but looking like it's going to be postponed. No official determination has been made, and they're monitoring the health of Fury and his team. So we will see what happens there, but the Gypsy King not looking like he's going to be ready to go for the big Deontay Wilder rematch, whatever. So bummer for boxing fans and bummer for Deontay Wilder fans who feel like maybe he'll get his win back, but part of the deal. So that's one reason why I went and got vaccinated, was not have to deal with something like that. Elsewhere in fighting, Conor McGregor, he is fighting Dustin Poirier, a trilogy fight as well. McGregor won the first one many years ago. Poirier won the rematch last year. Of course, Conor's had off and on time periods of fighting. He's kind of been all over the place the last few years. But McGregor says that heading into their UFC 250, I think I called this upcoming 257, but it was last year when they fought at 257. He said that Poirier wasn't really his main focus, that he was focused on other things. He pitied Dustin Poirier. He said, I pitied the man. And so he was looking past him, and part of the reason why he was looking past him was because of the much ballyhooed Pacquiao versus McGregor boxing exhibition following the success of the McGregor-Mayweather fight. So McGregor is saying that he looked past that Poirier rematch because he was looking to the Manny Pacquiao fight, which, of course, has not happened. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. So take this for what it's worth. I mean, they're going to do a huge buy rate for this McGregor-Poirier fight. They just will, because Conor's fighting, and when he fights, they do their best pay-per-view numbers. But, man, if he loses this fight, like, Dustin Poirier is a star, but he is never going to be a star the level of a Conor McGregor. So if you're the UFC, I think you're rooting really hard for McGregor, because how many losses can he afford spread out over 3-4 years to really still have that Mack magic that he had? You know what I mean? So this is a huge fight coming up with Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier, trilogy fight. They're 1-1, UFC 264, and that's this weekend. It's in 2 days.
I really just
go ahead.
I really just wish he hadn't gotten into boxing.
Who?
Conor.
McGregor, yeah.
It's been a waste of all our time.
Yeah, I know. And it's gotten a little sloppy. It's gotten a little bit, but they're making
so much
millions.
I get it.
But they were making millions. All right, so I know he's an idiot at times, but he's a tremendous personality. He allowed, who's the guy with the
Mohawk?
Yeah, the fighter that I first started watching.
Probably Chuck Liddell.
Chuck Liddell. So
McGregor, got everyone here
sick
as probably the sickest I've been that wasn't like COVID in the last 3 years was directly from Chuck Liddell.
Yeah, Chuck Liddell.
Guarantee it was from Chuck Liddell.
But McGregor, to me, this is it for him. I agree. And I don't know that much about the sport, but Poirier beat him up pretty good the last time.
It was not a real close fight. I mean, it was very clear who the winner was, and it was Poirier.
He looked younger, bigger, better, faster, stronger.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too. Like, McGregor's still a young guy. Like, I don't think people realize he was, like, in his late 20s when all this started. So he was young for all of the fame and fortune that he got so quickly, and that definitely changed him, and he went into, like, a dark period. He got in trouble with the law a couple times, and it's a tale as old as time. Now, he seems to have his mind back, but, you know, you can only lose so many fights and say, oh, well, I wasn't focused, or I didn't have a very good camp, or, you know, this or that, because that's kind of what it's starting to feel like. If he loses this fight and then we hear something, you know what I mean? It's just it's losing its luster a little bit. So very, very important fight for both guys. That is on Saturday night, McGregor-Poirier Part 3. So I know not many people get too excited about the, potential options to the NFL, potential competitors. Let's be real. There's never going to be a real competitor to the NFL. It's too big, too powerful. It's never going to happen. No one's ever going to be able to come in and get the best players away from them. It's unbeatable. But, others have tried these various leagues just to have an option for players who can't make the league, and the fact that people love football in America. None of them have worked out, obviously. But there was a little bit of a spark a couple months back when, I guess it was more than a couple months back, a year or so ago, when The Rock announced that he had purchased a big stake and is one of the owners of the XFL now. And the plan was for it to return in 2022 as early as like the beginning of the new year. Well, we're in July 8th, and I guess it was yesterday, actually, The Rock and the XFL announced they are delaying their relaunch of the XFL until spring of 2023. Of course, the XFL under the ownership of Vince McMahon, whose wrestling company just had their worst ratings since 1993 this last Monday, under 1.5 million people watching. It was a holiday weekend, but the numbers have been dropping, and yeah, it's just not a good product. I don't know how people watch it. But anyways, so Vince and the XFL went into bankruptcy. The Rock and his companies bought it out of bankruptcy. They were going to launch this spring, but instead they're going to wait another year, spring 2023. They apparently had some discussions with the CFL about working together, but that fell through and doesn't look like anything's going to happen there. But
I think the biggest thing was the CFL wanted to start. They want to start.
Yeah.
And the XFL's not ready to go. They didn't say never, though, in that,
right,
which I think is kind of encouraging and kind of cool. If they can get something to where, I don't care if it's the XFL and CFL play like a mini season, or they have like a, the champion of the Grey Cup and the champion of whatever you call the XFL Cup play a game. That'd be fun. Like, let's mix these things up. Let's at least make it something interesting to make, us all want to watch.
What if you did that and like it rotates every year? So like the American XFL teams have to play by Canadian rules on the Canadian field, and then vice versa. Like, how much would that hamstring you? But
look, if I was the XFL and I was trying to be different, I would maybe just pick up the Canadian rules.
Maybe so. But yeah, he said, The Rock said that they decided as of now to not pursue any formal arrangements. They're delaying by another year. So spring 2023, we will see the XFL back, maybe. I mean, I trust The Rock will get it back, but you just never know with these kind of things.
McMahon and The Rock have about as much money as anybody, correct?
Yeah.
And if they can't get this off the ground?
Well, The Rock's trying. So
these leagues don't make it. They don't. They cannot. The National Football League, even with some warts that they have, they're not undefeated. There's, but
and the USFL is coming back.
Yep.
Yeah, the USFL is coming back.
Which one?
The US. I mean, like, they're going to use some of the old team names and everything.
Like the Tampa Bay Bandits.
Yeah.
Memphis Showboats.
The Los Angeles Express.
Yeah.
The San Antonio Gunslingers.
Probably not that one.
Yep. So, maybe
Memphis
we see
Showboat. No, that was the WFL.
Yeah. The San Antonio Gunslingers have the distinct. They had the worst owner in the history of all of professional sports.
New Jersey Generals, the Philadelphia Stars, Kelvin Bryant. That was a league that got me to watch.
So, yeah, they'll be coming back in 2022, the USFL. They're going to have the New Jersey Generals, Chicago Blitz, Memphis Showboats, and LA Express. It'll be on Fox Sports. So they've got some setup. They got more setup than the XFL has right now. But, I mean, I'm with you that none of these leagues ever really end up making too much of a dent at all.
They always seem to try to, again, no matter when they play, and even though football's become a 12-month-a-year thing, the NFL's turned it into that.
Yeah, I just, you need star power, and I don't think any of these leagues have ever really captured star power, because Johnny Manziel was one thing at A&M. He's an entirely different thing 5 years later.
I have no interest in watching him play anymore.
Yeah, I don't either. So
here's the thing about the USFL. They actually had Steve Young, Kelvin Bryant, Jim Kelly, Herschel Walker. They had star power. Doug Williams. They had star power. And, of course,
But they had an in, and now there's no ends.
And then they always try to
closed off any
expand
in.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way to get that talent anymore. I mean, how are you going to do it? These guys go to college. You can't stop them from going to college. So, yeah, anyways, the XFL coming back in a...
By the way, for our listeners and viewers, if you want to read a great book, Football for a Buck by Jeff Pearlman is one of the best sports books I've ever read in my life. It is fantastic. It's our buddy Mark Addix is in it. I mean, quoted directly. I mean, it's tons of stories. The guys who played for the Gunslingers, and I hope that Jeff Pearlman has a chapter in the book. It's about the San Antonio Gunslingers, and he says this is a book about the USFL. He said if there was market for such a thing, I could write an entire book about the San Antonio Gunslingers, and I hope that he does.
Yeah.
Oklahoma running back Mikey Henderson has been charged with robbery, conspiracy, and assault and battery with a dangerous weapon as of yesterday. He was the missing third man. Not of the NWO, but of the pair of Oklahoma Sooners who got in trouble a few months ago for breaking into a person's home after this person refused to sell them weed. Two of them were already known. Trajan Bridges, who just seems like the baddest of bad apples. I mean, this kid just is trouble walk-in. And Seth McGowan, both of them, highly rated players, big-time prospects, big-time recruits. Well, Bridges and McGowan have known to have been involved. Of course, they used cell phone evidence. They used witness statements and even used, one of the dummies, I think it might have been Mikey Henderson, posted something on Snapchat about pray for me and Trajan and the other guy, and then deleted it, which is just dummy moves. So anyways, Bridges and McGowan were already looking at charges, but they kept investigating, and turns out that Mikey Henderson was involved. He's from St. Louis originally. He apparently didn't have a gun like the other two, especially Bridges, who was pointing it and threatening to shoot the guy who was the weed seller that they robbed. But Mikey Henderson was apparently a guy who rushed into the apartment, grabbed a backpack of valuables, and then ran back out. That backpack was later found in an Oklahoma lake. So, it's all bad news. But Henderson has now been caught. He's been cut from the Oklahoma football team. He had to post $100,000 bond a couple days back, and we'll have a hearing on August 10th. But he's gone. Bridges is gone. McGowan's gone, all off the OU football team from this incident. And, it's something they've been investigating for about 3 months now. But, the victim said April 15th. The victim said he declined to sell McGowan marijuana. Subsequently, McGowan shows up at his door with his right hand up his shirt, asking if McGowan had a gun. Bridges and a third man wearing a face mask then entered the victim's apartment, and so on and Bridges is screwed. Like, it's totally the witness statements. Like, he's absolutely like the catalyst in this whole thing. It sounds like so.
He's O.J. Simpson in that crime.
Yeah, I guess so. And also, this is one more note, and this is going back to the fight game. But we've had conversation about Sha'Carri Richardson and the marijuana test that's dropping her out of the Olympics. Well, the Nevada State Athletic Commission voted yesterday that they will no longer discipline fighters in any sport for testing positive for marijuana. Nevada becomes the second state in the U.S. to stop testing for marijuana completely. They're not going to even test for it. Florida, surprise, surprise, was the first to pass that law. So Nevada joins them. And they had just disciplined a couple fighters for marijuana tests like not that long ago. They got 6 month suspensions and like $1,000 fines and all that stuff. But now for a Nate Diaz, who willingly, openly talks about how much weed helps him, but has lost fights and lost momentum and lost things because he smokes weed and just won't stop.
Would he bleed less if he stopped smoking pot?
I don't know. That's a good question. But
he is a bleeder.
But now he can smoke all the pot he wants and still fight in Nevada or Florida because they've passed this, or they've
you know what's gonna
done away with the rule.
You know what's going to happen? Randy Gregory's going to win a lawsuit that he should never have been suspended all these years, and he took $40 million.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is Nate Diaz in particular?
Josh Gordon.
Yeah, Josh Gordon. He's going to be a UFC
I think
fighter.
Josh has
By the way,
other problems.
An addiction and maybe other stuff. Okay.
And there's a great thread on SicEm365.com in the premium section about marijuana that's really, really intriguing from the doctor's part of view, and people who are very smart with this. Yeah, Josh Gordon's he's trying to get another.
Yeah. He's trying, and who knows? I mean, that story is so played out at this point. You know, I feel for Josh to an extent, but it's like, maybe this just isn't the thing that you need to be doing. Like, I mean, this is like 6 years of wasted time, just getting back, getting people's hopes up, and then popping positive for a drug test again. Now, one note on that, the marijuana test, I was mentioning Nate Diaz, but his older brother, Nick Diaz, who dealt with the same issues, the marijuana rules and MMA and all that stuff, he at one point a few years ago was suspended for 5 years for marijuana use. Nick Diaz was. So now that's completely off the table. Now, they had reduced the suspension. They actually reduced it to 1.5 years, but that was how stringent it was. And now it's not a rule at all in the state of Nevada where they host most of their fights. So that's a few stories that are off the radar.
Very good. I love it. The Tyson Fury, Conor McGregor, and his Poirier and all the other stuff that's going on. And then those leagues that they try to keep on coming back and fighting the uphill battle against the NFL. One note about the moment, and this is from the Twitter question, no matter what team or sport, and somebody went there. What is always and will always be too soon for Ranger fans?
Nelly Cruz.
You cannot bring it up. You just can't. That's like verboten.
Don't even say the name Neftali Feliz. It wasn't his fault.
Yeah. The relief pitcher who gave up the opposite field shot.
I mean, he gave up some stuff, but, I mean, you make the catch, it doesn't even matter. And that's the argument I'll go to my grave with. He threw a pitch that was a catchable ball, Paul, right? And Nelly Cruz totally misjudged it. And you can say what you want about what happened after that, but it doesn't matter if you catch that baseball. Like, you're the World Series champions if you catch that freaking baseball and you misjudged it, and then it all...
And I think they win 2 or 3 out of 4.
The Giants really kicked their butts, though.
No, they went 11. I think they went a couple of more after that because they were. I think that was just because remember they had a couple more teams that were pretty darn good, and you never know. That gives you that little.
Here's what I do wonder though: how long before? I mean, because Josh Hamilton, went off the. I mean, he went to. I mean, that was starting to.
Not long after.
Not long after that, he kind of went off the. I mean, L.A. was almost rock bottom for him, but that Oakland game where he, the whole. I can't see the ball during the day because I got blue eyes.
That was the end of his Rangers tenure. And there is one more note, and you had actually passed this along, so I want to make mention of it, especially while we're talking baseball. Jacob deGrom, strikeout number 1,500 yesterday, fastest to reach the mark in just 198 games. He's thrown 1,500 strikeouts in 198 games, past Randy Johnson. Randy Johnson got strikeout 1,500 in 206 games. Now, DeGrom is the second fastest player in history, having leapt over Randy Johnson by 8 games. He got there 8 games quicker. Do you know who the fastest pitcher to 1,500 strikeouts, the only one in front of Jacob DeGrom now, is in Major League Baseball history? In history, Walter Johnson? No.
No, not Nolan Ryan.
It's not Ryan. That's too obvious.
Sandy Koufax.
He was a Texas Ranger.
Ferguson Jenkins.
Yu Darvish.
Wow.
197 games.
Damn.
It took him to get 1,500 strikeouts. That is 1 game less than Jacob
Never
DeGrom.
would, yeah.
And I can't imagine anybody's going to come close to snipping either one of those two anytime soon. So, yeah, rare company. And I do miss Yu Darvish as a Ranger, but there it is. There's off the radar.
There's another one of those what-have-beens. By the way, there's a listener to this show. The new football stadium, there's a brick in it that says, when in doubt, kneel it out.
Yeah.
One of our great loyal listeners, he told me this is anonymous, and I'm not going to throw you under the table or whatever you call it.
The bus.
Yeah, that too. But thank you for that note. We appreciate that. This is SicEm365 Radio.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel at the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online, pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Wagler.
goodness.
On my lawn.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Brad Wilson. Investing is time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. This 5 o'clock hour. Our good friend Andrew Baker's been listening. Wanted to know who was doing the heavy breathing. Usually it's me. Now, and he also wanted us to talk more San Saba football. I miss that guy. They were 13-0 in 2019 and lost to Valley View in the semifinals 14-12. Beat Crawford that year by 20. This 5 o'clock hour, we'll have Paul's top five. And
by the way, ask Cam if marijuana is a performance-enhancing drug. He'll know.
I have a feeling I know what he'll say. I have a feeling.
I think it depends. I think it depends on the person because on the one hand, I can see where I definitely understand the guys who do it, and it just takes that edge off and clears their mind, and they can just focus on the one thing in front of them. And I can see the other dudes who are like getting the munchies and like they just want to watch TV or whatever, and it doesn't work out well. So I think you probably at that level. I would just, in today's world, I would assume there's like strains that like, hey, smoke this or take this gummy before you play a sport. Do this when you want to just like sleep for 12 hours,
right.
You know? I assume, I guess.
You brought up munchies. Paul, when you popped a bong or two, what was your...
Popped a bong
or two. I was not...
Popped the bong.
Was it chips?
I was not a pothead.
What is a... well, you don't have to... A pothead, someone...
No, yeah.
Now, what would you have been your munchie, though? What would have been like Doritos?
Look at me, everything. I don't know.
It's always chips are a go-to.
Look, I'll tell you. It happens to me when I get a little too much of the wild turkey. I mean, it just
you just start. I mean, whatever.
You start thinking like, stuff that I would never eat in a million years anymore. I'd be like, oh, pizza rolls.
Yeah, that sounds good.
What is the number one munchie for a late night bong hit? I mean, what's the
there's not one.
Cheetos? I mean,
let's not do the lazy like every
Taco Bell?
Every pothead eats Cheetos and like just sits on the couch. I mean, like
I'll tell you that there's Jack in the Box, to their credit, has very much in their advertising leaned right into what their audience is.
Oh yeah. It's not just people who smoke pot, because a lot of those people are the same people that are drinking at the same time. And it's that late night like dollar tacos. You get like 12 of them. You know,
there's a couple of Baylor players that like Taco Bell, right?
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
Did you have something, Armstrong?
I was just saying, according to the internet, the number one is pizza.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a munchie regardless of whatever you're doing.
Before there was DoorDash, there was always pizza.
There was always pizza.
Pizza was the one that you could,
Absolutely. Now you can get like filet mignon delivered to your door.
Believe me, I know.
What?
I had a friend.
This is called from thewayoftheleaf.com.
The Way of the Leaf. Oh, man.
I had a friend in college who called me one time, baked out of his gourd to get pizza for him. And I said, you want me to go get pizza? Like, no, the pizza's at the door, but the door's really far away. And I went, just go, you'll make it. He goes, I don't think it's so far away.
He woke up the next day with tomato sauce all over his sheets and cheese on his face.
Yeah.
There's not a time during the day when pizza's not a good thing to eat, right?
I agree.
Cold
I think
pizza or hot.
What about right now?
I think
it took you an hour and 22 minutes to bring. All right.
I think my favorite.
I think you're running.
I'm kidding.
I think my go-to.
I was making a joke.
I
was just making a joke.
My go-to is definitely like I love a good juicy hamburger. I love that, but pizza's right there, like neck and neck with that for sure.
Yeah, I know the pizza's good, and in college is cold pizza like usually one of the best next day things.
Yeah.
Look, in college,
I don't even care.
Period. Although I'm not even a cold pizza fan really, but that's in general.
I used to not care if you left the box out all night.
Oh
you
wow.
Just walk out and be like, it's fine.
Yeah.
The lid was shut. Nothing's on it.
All right. God, Armstrong,
it's
I
cold
have
in
failed
here.
you.
The temperature's down. It's fine.
Yeah, completely failed you, Armstrong, and I apologize for that. All right, now.
We got to catch up here a little bit. So
With what?
Right, we're just a little behind.
The youngins have gotten silly today.
Oh, I do have a note I forgot off the radar. We can get to that whenever. I can do it now, or we can do it after we take a break.
That's
whatever we need to do.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, do it now, and then we'll take a break.
Okay, I was like, well, you kind of need you to drive where we're going here. So, one note with the other day with Jake Smith, the UT wide receiver that transferred to Southern Cal. I just didn't have time for this one, but there's like a pipeline going on with Texas and USC. He is the 8th player or coach to join that staff in join that team in the last 2 years. Todd Orlando, after he got fired at Texas. Craig Nivar, who was an assistant as well. Brian Carrington, who was Mr. Shh, which was the most annoying thing ever. I could not stand that dude when he was at Texas. He was just too much arrogance. But then Brew McCoy, remember that whole dust-up?
Yeah.
Keontae Ingram, Xavier Alford, Malcolm Epps, the big tight end, and now Jake Smith, the wide receiver. So I'm sure Graham Harrell's got a little something to do with that, but they also have 3 former assistants as well from those Charlie Strong teams. So, yeah, I just found that interesting. That's a little pipeline. In L.A. and Austin, it kind of makes sense, actually. Like, they're pretty similar in many ways.
Well, I mean, look, L.A. is throwing so much into Austin. It's only Austin's responsibility to throw something back.
Right. It's only Austin by name, really. It's pretty much turning into L.A. Yeah, at this stage. Do y'all just notice how many out-of-state license plates there are around here?
Yeah.
Like, have y'all picked up on that?
Yeah.
I know some of it's like Magnolia Travelers and whatnot, but it's like every day all over the road I see people from out of state.
I will tell you the hardest I've ever laughed in the Cowboys press box was Stu Myrick, our friend, lives down in Austin and does some work for the Horn. We were up there covering a Cowboys game, and it was somebody from the Super Bowl from another state. It might have been Nestor, from Baltimore, and he was over, and I said, Nestor, I don't know if you know Stu from Austin. He's always at the Super Bowl, and he's like, oh yeah, I love Austin. And before he even said anything, Stu goes, don't move here.
Yeah,
what? Like his reaction was, don't move there. Don't move there. Please, don't.
Wow. Yeah, everybody
He's lived there his whole life, and there's so many people that are moving there.
If you listen to people from Austin, like they all are, not all of them, but I see quite a few people or know quite a few people who are like day one Austinites that are like, this is not the town that, like this, it's losing its magic of just that special something that it had when it was just like the bar scene and 6th Street and like country, or music, live music and all that. They still have all that, but now it's like super glossy and it's like Silicon Valley Southwest, and there's a lot of people that don't like it, getting too crowded like you said, and but I've noticed a lot of out-of-town license plates. I'm sure some of that's summer travel, but not all of it. And by the way, Austin Kendall from West Virginia had a note on him as well that I forgot. He transferred to Louisiana Tech. So Austin Kendall went from OU to West Virginia to now La Tech. So I promise that's the last note that I have left over.
All right, let's take a break here. Come back with more. It's 5:20 Armstrong. I'm taking care of your pizza from Marco's Pizza. Yeah, you can get Marco's Pizza at marcos.com. This is SicEm365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home. Waco, Woodway, Hewitt, China Spring, Martin, Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions here to help you, your family, and your business. Whether it's great times or tough times, all of us need a bank we can count on. Great people with great technology dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Safe banking in person or use their online and mobile apps, and convenient drive-thrus and ATMs at all locations. They've got stuff like first deposit check using your smartphone camera, snap a picture front and back, choose your account and deposit, and you can do that also with a secure lock equipped so you can control how your debit card is used, receive instant notifications when your card is used, turn your card on and off, control ATM withdrawals, and set spending limits. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home.
Allen Samuels is celebrating Jeep Freedom Days. It's an exciting time for the Jeep Cherokee and the new Grand Cherokee. Built tough as nails and able to stand up to any challenging off-road trails or city roads, travel with the innovative technology to meet your lifestyle. Jeep, a great SUV. Allen Samuels, the award-winning customer service Central Texas dealer, the best place to get your next SUV. Located at 201 West Loop 340 or visit them online at allensamuelsdcj.com. Allen Samuels is your friend in the car business.
Come by. Let's be friends.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Nitchie Group Insurance Agency. With the Nitchie Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Nitchie Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Nitchie Group at 1-800-258-8302.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Do it today by searching SicEm365 on YouTube.
All right, asked earlier today in the message board, see SicEm365 Premium Insider, game, moment, play, and although it might be obvious your opinion and why, one play in Baylor sports history. Let me see if there's a couple of new responses, but we'd love to get your calls on this as well. 254-339-1122 or the text line, which David sent, by the way, a note about the gunslingers. We'll read that here momentarily. But one of the other responses, we've heard the Tim McDonald, Nellie Cruz was another part. I said, okay, so the charge, Landman said the charge. I've rewatched it over 1,000 times, at least 10 times a year still. And then I said, did the blowout championship win against Gonzaga soften the blow on this one at all? I would say it does, but as a Mavs fan as well, I compare 06, and we should have 2 titles, even though they eventually won it. If they call that AC call right, we probably have our first title 11 years earlier, and also bringing up Nelson Cruz being scares the wall out of me. That's from Chris Fuentes, who's, of course, a huge men's basketball. So what if they would have won it in 2010, Baylor? Mm-hmm. And they still would have had to win, but that would have gotten to the Final Four. Duke eventually won it. If they win it then, how much does that change? Does Scott Drew stay at Baylor? Just wins it that quickly? And
how many coaches has Indiana had since then? 2 or 3?
Indiana?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So if he had won a national title and he hadn't been cemented in Waco, basically, at that point, 11 years ago, I think, there's a lot of suitors that are coming calling that are some big boy names. But, at this point, he's been around so long and built this program up to exactly what he wants. And, here's the thing that I think of. If they win that title 11 years ago, then the version of the team we saw this year is not happening.
No.
They're not going the same route.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. You could have had 2, but you might still have only had 1, and that 1 happened 11 years ago.
But
and now we'd be going, how come they can't win it again?
Exactly.
Well,
it's been 11 years.
Is that they would have gotten to see a team that they were familiar with in I guess maybe not even then, but West Virginia played West Virginia, so that would have been then.
In the Final Four?
Yeah, in the Final Four. They wouldn't have seen them every time then, but they would have played West Virginia in the Final Four, and then so that's a team maybe they could have beaten, and then they would have had Butler. So
here's the best response to all of this from Barely Heard From. This whole thread is like getting kicked in the nuts repeatedly.
Yeah, it is. Let's bring up. I feel that way anytime the Rangers Game 6 is brought up. I mean, it doesn't even bother me because I've heard it enough and it's been years.
But it only won't bother you as much when. Like Baylor won this year when it finally happens.
That's why, as a Mavs fan, I don't care about that first Heat series with Shaq and Wade beating them and some very questionable calls in that series because, hey, they won it a couple years later or whatever it was.
Yeah, the only things I still have,
LeBron.
I still have my Aaron Boone thing, and it's only because when it happened, I was sitting in a room with my best friend who's a Yankees fan who just wore me out.
Oh, yeah.
And so, that memory, I just blame Aaron Boone for so much, although Grady Little, you're on my list too.
From Ursos Arctos, the 2015 Oklahoma McLean in the rain. We just scored a touchdown, cut the lead to 3, 10 minutes left. Momentum, crowd going nuts. And Blanchard has Baker dead to rights at the 2. Throws the ball away for an obvious grounding. Blanchard called for the horse collar. OU first down. They go on a 5-minute touchdown drive to ice the game.
And that's what a SicEm365 premium member, who may or may not know Trayvon Blanchard pretty well, posted earlier that we talked about, was that when he posted number 48 versus Oklahoma, one reason to be a premium member is folks like that stopping by. But, that was I mean, because you could feel the stadium when because Baylor had every ounce of momentum. Oklahoma was on their heels, and they were not expecting – you could tell that they had slept walking into that game somewhat. They were not expecting a team that had just lost to Liberty and UTSA to give them any sort of a problem whatsoever, especially when you had Baker at quarterback and they were loaded. And they gave them that and more. And, that play right there was when you kind of felt the wind go out, though. You were like, oh, they had to have that play to make this all happen. And once that – call was made, it was like, all right, that's it.
That was the Taylor Young tackle game, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to have the big hit on Mayfield,
I'd like to have the whole 2015 TCU game back all together.
Oh, my gosh.
In the icy. That was the worst. That was the worst football game I've ever had to
that was terrible.
sit through in my life.
No. You talking about the rain?
The rain.
Oh, yeah. No, that was bad.
Yeah,
and that was a bad loss. Baylor's had 2 bad losses to TCU. They've had some devastating, crushing, embarrassing losses, 16, but they've had a couple of games they let slip away, but they got the 1-0, 2 or 3 overtimes the other 2 years ago. That kind of made up for some.
And I say this as a person who's not a Baylor alumni and never will be, but I've never been madder at an institution than I was that day at TCU. From the minute we got there to the minute we left, the way that we had to do everything that we had to do was like it was like a psychological war they were playing on anyone involved from Waco, Texas. What we had to go through there, it was just. I was about to melt. I remember sitting in the elevator going down to the post-game press conference. Goes, if they're rolling chairs behind this press conference again, I'm going to go nuclear.
Dude, and that's so Bush League. Like, the fact that they do it that way or did it that way at TCU, like, that was so Bush League. It was literally under the stadium, just, like, in the midst of the concourse while, like, construction workers and stuff are just, like, rolling big, heavy, metal cases by. It was like, what is this? This is, like, amateur hour. I don't know why they did it that way, but.
I remember looking at Sean Giggy, who now works at WFAA, after he had stood out in the cold rain that whole time, and the miserable look on his face.
That was also the game in which there were 4 guys in purple shirts that were there as volunteers.
That's what I was going to say.
Basically just very unprofessional. That's not being bitter. I mean, let me tell you something. People say a lot of things about Heath Nielsen, who was there as the SID for football for a long time and now listens to us or keeps up with us. He would not allow the crap. Any kind of homerism, none of that in the box. You just didn't do it, and you shouldn't have to have an SID shut it down, but that was out of hand.
The three worst press box things that I've seen while covering Baylor, it's never been in McClain Stadium. There was some guy who must be one of those just press box staples, white hair, has been around since, like, he got his degree in 45 or whatever, at Oklahoma State, who was just obnoxious. I mean, total fan in the press box, and they never even came over to, like, say anything to him. That was super annoying, especially because that was the game Bryce Petty tripped, and it was just a butt whooping. TCU, the purple-clad 3 older men or whatever that just sat in the press box like they were covering the game, but they were clearly just old TCU fans that were in there rooting and cheering on. That was ridiculous, and they never got anything said to them. And then the Michigan State game, there was a reporter there covering the game. Do y'all remember the guy that was yelling throughout the Michigan State game when they were making their comeback?
Yeah.
That was... Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. There was one guy who
tried to forget it, but
he was yelling and cheering, and like, it was so unprofessional. So I know sometimes people slip through the cracks and they get up into the press box on, like, a weird pass or whatever, but those 3 press box situations I remember vividly, and I remember being so annoyed by every one of them.
Yeah, but I have a friend of mine from Gilmer, Elwin, who says that there's this guy named Paul Catalina during Cowboys game.
Don't even get me started.
Elwin has had some things to say.
All right, so San Antonio Gunslingers, David Anderson on the text line. Rick Neuheisel said when he played for the Gunslingers that when they got their checks, they would haul butts straight to the bank in Bernie, cash them while money was in the account.
Sounds like a radio station I worked for.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but he had the guy's bank was in Bernie, and that, like, they were in, like,
Bernie.
But they were practicing, and their facility was at a high school in downtown San Antonio. So it's not like it was like.
I wonder if they practiced at Alamo Stadium.
I'll have to get the book, but they, he had told them at the beginning, like, we're going to practice at this. He set up 2 double wides as their locker room at this high school field that the high school had quit using, and they were going to use it until their facility was built. Let me tell you, that never happened.
That just never happened. I still love today. The favorite part of today when I said one game, one moment, whatever, JD off the top rope. Cornell, Princeton, 2019, 66-0. Would like to have that one back. He didn't make that score up at all, by the way. All right, let's see here. One more off of this. Truhl gets the ball to Elkins instead of the interceptions against Texas. Oh, my. WBB fan 29, Christy Wallace, the way her career ended on that play at the end of the game in the regionals, or the second round game at home, tore her ACL. And that team, they were good, and that team was really good. And that the moment, the hush of that packed arena was just almost eerie when she slid. I don't know why she went down kind of in a slide. I don't know why she did.
I hadn't thought about Christy Wallace in like 3.5, 4 years probably. That's a blast from the past. But, yeah, that was definitely a memorable moment, not for the right ways, though.
One final note. Bear, since 2010, Baylor fan, nothing comes close to the Mavericks Game 6, 2011. Rangers, excuse me. I went outside and walked around my neighborhood right after the game, and I just pondered life. I mean, you knew Game 7 was already over, even before it started. We were on our way out to, I guess it was Stephenville.
So y'all didn't even have to see it.
No, we saw Game 6.
Game
Game 7, I had during the midway game that we're doing, I had the game tracker up, and I remember the frustrating part was you could see that based on the game tracker that the strike zone was wide.
Here I am at Pecan Ridge Apartments, the TV a little bit obviously larger, and I'm like right this close to the TV as there's 2 strikes on David Freese, thinking I'm about to see a moment in which I never thought possible. And sure enough.
Yeah, it's fun talking about. Really love reliving it.
It's like one said, it's getting kicked into it's over and over again.
David Freese was playing for the Pirates a couple years ago when I was in New York. I went to a Mets game, and he came up to pinch hit, and my mom was with me, and I remember it was like David Freese was like, oh, this guy. And she goes, well, what do you care about him? I'm like, oh, well, you remember that night that the Rangers lost the World Series and Dad just sat in his chair and stared at the wall? It's like, it's his fault.
Yeah. If I ever see Cruz in person from Eric Fisher, I will need an attorney afterwards. Hey, Nelly's a pretty big boy, though. That's a big guy.
I would.
How about this one? This is unique from Big Red BU. Laquan McGowan's touchdown against Michigan State in the Cotton Bowl. Kendall basically hit the brakes at that point. MSU mounted the comeback. Because everyone thought the game was over.
I like that. I like that one. That's different because it's taking away a touchdown.
Yeah.
But when that happened, I mean, everybody did. I mean, everybody just kind of said, but like, look, if a 400-pound guy's going to score a touchdown, that's how it's going to be. And
how many times would you say you wanted the team you loved to take a touchdown off the scoreboard as a moment? And that's what you're saying here. Because that I remember the celebration. It seemed like, okay, the game is over. They've had their fun. And then, of course, Michigan State didn't think the game was over, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
That was
you get a couple of penalties that could go either way, or...
there's been 2 or 3 times when they had a chance to finish with a bowl win with a team that had won the Big 12 title. Central Florida and then also Michigan State the following year, in which you do end up in the top 10. Like, you end up deep into the top 10, and you just couldn't close the deal.
And I'll tell you, I do think Michigan State was if you want to ask, like, the flaw in Bryle's whole system wasn't the bad defense. It was the defense that, wasn't dominant, because it was pretty good at certain times, especially given to what their offense was doing. It was the not really caring as much about special teams across the board. Pooch kicking and, not being ready for onside kicks or not worrying about it, all those kind of things. That's what I think his biggest flaw was as a coach. It was just that would constantly happen. And that's even games that they won were closer sometimes because, the one we've got on here right now, because special teams was kind of an afterthought.
Yeah, I always ask those questions, and it seemed like they did spend more time with that. That's kind of the debatable. It depends on who you talk to on staff. But, yeah, there were times in which especially because I'm huge, and obviously this is Bill Parcells, and he didn't invent this. Guys well before him, Paul Brown, whoever, hidden yardage on special teams. Not on interception returns or whatever. I'm talking special teams. Punts, punt coverage, net return. And you have to be good. If you're not very good, like Baylor this year, for them to win more than 5 games, they're going to have to be almost elite on special teams to steal a game or two because of it. Mm-hmm. To steal a game or two because of it. So 5:39. Take a break here, Paul. Come back. You want to go ahead and so this Trevor Bauer thing, it's a national story about a pitcher who's dominant, who's been outspoken, he's been in the news a lot, he's controversial, and this thing keeps on being extended, kind of like a loan.
Yeah, he's got sexual assault allegations against him from a woman he was dating, and she has come out, and he is now on leave. That leave is extended by 7 days as the investigation continues.
However, I've read, and stop me before I get myself over my skis here. His attorney, whose job is to defend Trevor Bauer, this is going to come down to some text messages, isn't it? Remind you of something else?
Yeah, it's weird. Like, this is one of those things that when you get into these cases, that it becomes a very, very strange he said, she said kind of a deal, and. It almost always does. Almost all these cases like this are pretty much the same.
All right, when we come back, anything from you, Craig? When we come back, Paul's top 5, just around the corner. We've got Jack, and we've got Hayden, and also Emma, and also Armstrong, and is going to get his pizza after all. This is SicEm365 Radio. Pioneer Steel and Pipe. Metal buildings is a big deal. It's been that way for a long, long time. It's on now with the metal roof. What you want and what you need is at Pioneer Steel and Pipe. Pioneer Steel, Pipe, Metal, heavy-duty equipment, building things that are large and big, bulky product. It's the bottom line with them. Listen, the product is amazing. 1943, they started the business. Now, nearly 80 years later, they are thriving. You do that with two things. One, you have to have great product, but you also then have to be someone that customers want to come back and deal with again. Whether you build one home or 5 businesses, whatever they are, complexes, businesses, apartments, you want something big, strong, durable. Pioneer Steel and Pipe since 1943. Locations in Waco and Bryan, building the brand new facility on Loop 340 and 12th Street in Waco. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, pioneerboys.com.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play. The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco, your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Major League Baseball this afternoon. Couple of games to update. Astros, that's a rarity. Man, they are playing so well. Lost to the A's 2-1. Dodgers 6-1 beat the Marlins. Yankees shut out by Seattle 4-0. Rockies D-backs right now 8-3 top of the ninth. Rangers have the day off. So the Astros have blown open that American League West. We do this about every 2 weeks.
I told you this every year. We do this every year.
No. I'm talking about the standings update.
Right, I am too. I'm talking about like the AL West is the same every single year. It's never any different. The A's compete. They'll maybe make a wild card game or something. They'll lose that, and they'll be done, and we'll applaud like, hey, isn't it amazing, like Moneyball, even though it was 25 years ago. They hardly have any stars, and they make the playoffs, and we'll say that, and then we'll just forget about the A's until next year. The Astros will run away with it. The Angels will be the team with like two incredible stars and not really a whole lot else to talk about. The Rangers stink. The Mariners stink. So, I mean, you know, it's kind of the same every year. I mean, it's pretty much the same order for the last 3-4 years.
Mariners are 4 games above 500, but
yeah, they're
still way
they're
back.
Not good though. They're
Red
not like
Sox,
a threat.
Back and forth yo-yo with the Bucks. With the Rays up 2.5.
What's up with the Yankees?
And the Yankees are in a free fall. The White Sox are up 8 on Cleveland. Milwaukee's up 6. That's dropped a couple. Cubs have lost 12 in a row, Paul?
Yeah. They were.
No, like they've lost 11 in a row, then they won yesterday.
They were like a half game out or something, a game and a half out.
Yeah.
Before the winning streak started. And now they're just
man, they are in an absolute, complete free fall. And so that's what's happening. In the East, the Mets are up 4 over everybody. Washington, Atlanta, Philly, all within distance of trying to make that interesting before it's said and done.
Yeah, I mean, the Astros might as well hang the banner for the AL West. I mean, they're not going to get caught by anybody. I mean, Oakland's in striking territory, but I'm not banking on them, you know, wire to wire being in the mix. We'll see, though. I mean, maybe they make it interesting, but I'd fully expect the Astros to be division champs at the end of this thing.
Plus 140 runs scored for the Astros. Next best in the American League, 99 for Chicago.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
Brought to you by Slapsticks Comedy Club. I am going over there right after we're done. The soft open is tonight. We're going to do the kind of a dry run. And then tomorrow night it opens in earnest. Get your tickets at slapstickscomedy.com. Saturday, I'll be doing improv at 7 o'clock and hosting a stand-up lineup at 9 o'clock. So get your tickets, slapstickscomedy.com. So Saturday you can come out and see me tell jokes with my friends. All right, top 5 all-time Texas college quarterbacks. Now, we had a list that we compiled of 13 people.
Paul's cell phone number is...
yeah, don't do that. So we put these people on we pulled the 5 from this list of 13.
Now, there's somebody or two missing, even from this list. It's just we tried to grind on this.
So the list overall, in no particular order right now, has... Vince Young and Sammy Baugh and Davey O'Brien and Don Meredith, Colt McCoy, RG3, Lance McElhaney, Graham Harrell, David Klingler, Andre Ware, Patrick Mahomes, Johnny Manziel, and James Street. So that's our list of the people that we threw up there. And this is the top 5, which I am very open to debating on. But this is Paul Catalina's top 5 at 5:55. And feel free to debate me on any of these.
I like the colored coordination on this. The marble look in the background, or whatever that is.
Yes. All right, so number 5, Davey O'Brien. The quarterback award is named for this dude.
I don't have much to say on him. I never saw him play, so I was hoping maybe...
Pretty much why I put him on the list is the quarterback award is named after him.
I mean, I'd love to have a comment, but I mean, I know the award's named after him, and he played at TCU, and that's about all I know from his career.
Yeah. Number 4, Robert Griffin III. I think as a transformational player to an institution, pulling them out of the doldrums, his impact on college football overall is he's not only a beacon for Baylor, but if you get the right guy, things can happen for you.
Well, you know, what he sometimes doesn't get credit for, which Coach Briles does in the staff or whatever, is RG3 was the hope. And I'll never forget a call when I was doing radio in Tyler, and a guy called me and told me about this guy. I knew about him at Copper's Cove. John Tyler had gone down there and beaten him up pretty good. I was like, no way. And hell,
I remember watching him warm up the first time I saw him.
Yeah.
I was doing a university game, and I was like, this son of a gun.
Yeah, he's special.
That is unbelievable. Number 3, and this one is going to be up for debate because his record as a starter is not good. But I do believe that his ability was so here that if not for him, if it was Davis Webb or anyone else, that team would have been 2-10.
All right, I'm going to say this because I think he gets first of all, great kid. Craig covered him in high school, did his games. But I still think he gets too much for what he's done in the NFL.
I would not have him over RG3 just on my personal list. RG3 won a Heisman. He turned around the entire program. Texas Tech was not any better after Patrick Mahomes left than they were when he arrived. I mean, I think they might have actually been worse, quite frankly. But yeah, if this is an NFL list, he's definitely like top 3, number 1 right now. But yeah, I'd have RG3 over him college-wise. Okay,
but it's your list.
It's my list. I did it, and I'm not really that strong on this one. I'm not that strong on this one, but I did think it was something to discuss about how good his actual ability was that he pulled a bad team. And again, he was the beacon in the dark.
The Davis Webb wasn't bad. He was. I mean, in that system, he was okay. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Number 2, Johnny Manziel. He was just unreal. I mean, the way that he took a team that nobody thought was going to be that good, and then, he beats Alabama. And
was this the first year they joined the SEC?
Yeah.
So that also was part of the discussion here.
Yeah.
That this was when they made the transition. It might have been the best team they've had since they joined the SEC, considering it's a decade later.
I mean, last year is up for debate, and we'll see what happens in the future with Jimbo Fisher. But, I mean, the way that he played and the way that there was no situation in which you could count him out at all.
No, I agree.
Yeah, one note on Mahomes, and I have something to say on Johnny, but Mahomes eventually took over as a starter at Tech during his freshman year. That year they went 4-8. His sophomore year when he was a starter, they went 7-6, and then his final year when he threw for 1 billion yards against Baylor, they went 5-7. So he only had 1 bowl season and really 2 full years of starting action. But Johnny, that was a different mania, and I don't think we've seen anything like it since then, at least not around here, obviously, because I can't think of, we've had Trevor Lawrence and we've had Tua and we've had, countless guys, but that Johnny Manziel was just on a different level as far as coverage and talk and just everything. I mean, he was the dude in college football that everyone talked about and that everybody watched and that everybody had to check out. Even if you weren't a college football fan, you heard about Johnny Football. I mean, he was just on a whole nother level of college stardom. So yeah, definitely could see that.
Yeah. He was one of those. If you looked at the TV and he was on it, you had to stop and watch.
Yeah. Also on the graphic, Jack, I just remembered Bobby Lane was one of the old school guys we left out from Texas. But again, I wasn't going to put him on this top 5 anyway. But I mean, if you don't take Patrick Mahomes off, we can put any one of the other guys back in. Number 1, Vince Young. And Vince Young was the most dominant player in college football. I mean, he just kind of owned everything when he was playing. The other thing about Vince Young, and this is maybe lost on some Texas fans in its reality, but I think they know it. If not for Vince Young, the history of Texas football is they don't have a lot to hang their hat on since
51 years since they would have won a national title.
Yeah, they don't have a lot to hang their hat on that's not just pretty good in 50 years.
He single-handedly, as good as that team was, they loaded with NFL players. They were fantastic, but he was the one that was the difference. And then when just like some other guys.
He's the helium in the balloons of their ego. Yeah. I mean, that's what he is.
And they finally just let him be who he was sometime during his junior year, and he took off.
I was going to say, I mean, his rise was junior year and late at best. I mean, the only reason why people started talking about I remember one of the major reasons why people started first talking about Vince Young was the bowl win over Michigan. Mm-hmm. And that was the end of the year of his sophomore year because he left early.
Yeah.
So then his junior year came around, and then, it was all – they had been talking about him all off season, and then he went and did it. He went and did the damn thing and won it all, and so credit to him. But it wasn't like he was a star player for 2 or 3 years. It was about a year's time period that he was.
Yeah, it was kind of – It was kind of an, I'm not sure whether, but he was always close, but you just, and
you knew he was good, but
there were a couple of games that get overlooked, though, in Vince Young's greatness. Oklahoma State, every time they played him, he came back in the second half. But there was a game against Kansas when there might have been like a push-off in the fourth down, but Vince Young against like Kansas had some moments in which they came back and won that game, and I don't remember if it was a junior year or what. But, yeah, he was once in a lifetime.
And he wasn't. But, again, you take him out. If Vince Young's not there and that team doesn't exist, then –
once in a lifetime.
What are they?
Looks like they're all holding
50
hands.
Years.
Yeah. All right, Paul. This will be some interesting feedback on this one. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Put it on the board, Hayden. Yeah.
You got it up? All right. The all-time Bobby Lane, for obvious reasons, should be included. But there was going to be, like I said, we're going to be one or two that we probably forgot, but that's a great. Mahomes got to go.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like you've
I want you to go home tonight and redo the list.
Yeah. Honestly, the more I think about it, I don't understand how you put Mahomes that high.
Yeah.
We've got like Heisman winners like Andre Ware just sitting off the list.
Yeah, I was a little reticent to put those Houston guys on.
Like Case Keenum, Ware, Klingler, with the money, the numbers they put up. You know, it would be an interesting one. He wouldn't be in it, but I always liked him, even though he killed me with Nebraska, was Major Applewhite. But I don't think he's a Louisiana guy, right?
Yeah, but I mean, they play Texas. Yeah, I mean, Major Applewhite, but see, he kind of got Texas out of their little, 8-3 kind of thing.
Can't believe Chris Sims isn't on this list. Remember, he was Garrett Gilbert before Garrett Gilbert.
Yeah. Well, and
as far as hype and like he's the saving grace of Texas football and all that.
And because of Chris Sims, Texas fans never really properly appreciated Major Applewhite.
No, they didn't. No, that
they just wanted the new. They just wanted the new car.
Yep.
Yeah. Applewhite was from Baton Rouge. Yeah, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Played at the University of Texas. So, all right, that's it. Thank you, Armstrong, Sims, Emma, Hayden, Jack McKenzie. Thanks to. Marco's Pizza just delivered just in time for us to chew on that a little bit for the rest of the night. For Paul Catalina, for Craig Smoak. Tomorrow, Grayson Grundhafer. Tomorrow, Hobby Hal is going to come in and discuss the Brazos parking outside McLean Stadium on the other side of MLK. And then also Don Truhl, Lawrence Elkins, the radio portion of it for you to watch or listen to. Tomorrow, I'm David Smoak. Have a great night. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.